in between. Call them today at 402-466-6606 or learn more at highelectric.com.
No doubt about it, a water softener saves you money. Don't have one? Call the plumbers at Bryant. Just one call and no arm-twisting contracts. For a free estimate, call 467-1111 or go to BryantLincoln.com.
Want a free pair of Nebraska football tickets? Head to theticketfm.com's contest tab and register for a free pair of tickets each week of a home game, courtesy of Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of Woods Brothers and 93.7 The Ticket.
At MD Pain, we know chronic pain is a problem. It can lead to isolation, depression, and the inability for you or a loved one to live the life you want. That doesn't need to happen. Chronic pain can be effectively managed. The doctors of MD Pain wrote the book on effective, ethical pain management. Get actual solutions with the most up-to-date, clinically proven treatment options available. No one has to suffer in silence. Get real treatment for chronic pain. Call MD Pain.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is Tom and Bock, coming at you live from Koppel Chevrolet GMC Studios in the heart of Lincoln, America, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Tom Stevens.
I always tell people, I just hope they see a guy that loves what he does.
Jake Bockoven.
I didn't get any stupider, I know that. I have never been very smart.
Tom and Bock starts now.
Welcome in, Tom and Bock. I'm Tom, he's Bock. Together, Tom and Bock. Wow. That was bad. That was not good. Whatever happened there for 3 hours on Saturday, I don't want to see again. Unfortunately, because I've seen it so many times. I love the movie Shawshank Redemption. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Watched it over and over and over. But in the end, he gets out of jail. He climbs through all the crap, which Nebraska's kind of doing it right now. But Nebraska's not getting out of the crap, into the rain, and escaping from whatever we're going through right now. It's the same movie. Pick your Groundhog Day. Feels appropriate.
Well, to be fair, you did say before the season started that you just watched all the national championship games again, which I'm sure you do every offseason. So I think if it's a good movie, you're more likely to enjoy watching it a few times. But this is the same old bad movie, so we need to find a pretty rough movie.
I love the movies where the cavalry comes over the mountain. And, the sheriff's got his pistols in both hands and he's firing away and the good guys are going to win.
Yeah.
That's not the movie we've been watching. The good guys never win. The good guys always make the mistake in the first quarter or second quarter. In this case, a couple of big mistakes. The pass interference was a huge one because if that doesn't, or not the pass interference, but the roughing the passer, I should say. And the interception, of course, Nebraska looked to be going up 16-2. Instead, they don't. And, of course, we know what happened in the second quarter. The fumble by Adrian Martinez changed that whole game. And it's a scoop six. And there they go. And you thought, well, yeah, I've definitely seen this before because it happens every freaking time.
Yeah.
It happens every single time. And I love him. I want that guy to be great. I love his personality. He's a team captain, record third time. Deserves it. But every single time, something happens that causes Nebraska to lose the game, and it usually starts with him.
Yeah, it's a critical mistake by him. And again, that's the nature of football. The quarterback gets too much blame for the losses. He gets too much credit for the wins. But at some point, you have to shoulder some of that blame. And for Martinez, because it's hard to evaluate his play. He also had that 75-yard run, which kept him in it. He also led him, to the touchdown late in the game, which kept him in it, which granted, they took way too much time off the clock. But I think without him, you wonder what this game would look like. It'd probably look even worse, but that's the problem, right? It's not just Martinez. It's that he hasn't been pushed. It's that when he's been benched because of poor play in the past, the guy behind him wasn't good enough to take his spot. And, it just kind of leads to where you are now, which is I don't know if you have much faith in anybody behind him. Maybe if the season continues to play out this way, we'll see, and you hope to get a glimpse at the future. But right now, he's your best option, I think, to win. And he's not progressing. He's not getting any better. His mechanics look shot to a degree.
Yeah.
He's as soon as there was a little bit of pressure on him, he started to get happy feet. And and again, his scrambling might be Nebraska's best play to begin with, but it's not a long-term goal. It's not a plan to have a good drive put together.
And here's the thing: we heard glowing reviews throughout the spring and fall camp, and I don't think people are lying, saying that Adrian has performed really well in practice and he makes incredible throws and his decisions are really good. But there's something that happens between a Thursday practice and a Saturday game that is a complete disconnect. And I'm not blaming Adrian in total. I think.
Do you believe that? I mean, do you believe that the practices, as we always hear, are
I don't
glowing?
think guys are just blatantly lying. Do you think they're lying?
I don't believe that he. I mean, if he does that 75-yard run in practice, then I would say, yeah, he had a pretty good day. And for the most part, that's Martinez. He'll put together mostly ordinary plays, I suppose, but a few spectacular plays and a few awful plays. Right. So you just gotta have to find the middle there.
Yeah, even in his best game last year versus Rutgers, I think that was his best game. He ran for 150, was 26 of 28, threw the ball extremely well. But those two incompletions were not just incompletions; they were interceptions.
Yeah, to go along with his fumbles
and a couple of fumbles as well. Something happens, and the guy is coached to do it, apparently. Or he just hasn't gotten from game one. I mean, he's obviously started on fire as a rookie, as a freshman at Nebraska. And we thought, he's going to be in the Heisman conversation. He kind of was in his sophomore year. But since then, he has really regressed. And I'm not sure of anybody. There are very few examples where a guy, especially on the offensive side of the ball, started as a freshman and just got better and continually got better. And maybe, there's some careers here that still have a ways to go, and you'd like to think they can get better. And there are 11 other opportunities to prove it, but you haven't proven it. I mean, the record speaks for itself. You are 12-21. Scott Frost has to win 9 straight games to tie Mike Riley. He has to win 14 straight games to tie Bill Callahan. And those guys got fired.
Yeah.
He'd have to go 37-1 to tie Jim Harbaugh, who's on the hot seat.
Well, this is kind of funny because you often group those guys together. At least we do here in Nebraska. That's not fair to Jim Harbaugh at all, and that's never been fair. I mean, he's had top 15 teams on several occasions there at Michigan. But I mean, I think that's what hurts the most. I mean, we can go through Martinez mistakes, but at the end of the day, I think everybody's starting to understand it might be the coaching staff. It might be, Wonder Boy, which we all, romanticized over the possibility of the former championship winning player, born in Nebraska. He gave the speech in the 90 after the 98 Orange Bowl.
It's a great speech.
And there's no way that any of us, if I was given his resume again, I hope Nebraska doesn't turn it down. If somebody else does the same thing that Frost does and lines them up with the position in the future for Nebraska, I hope that you don't get burned by this, because he was such a great prospect of a coach that almost anybody wanted him. Florida wanted him over Dan Mullen, who helped them as an offensive coordinator win titles.
I think that even knowing what we know now, there's a segment of the Husker Nation that would take him again.
Yeah.
It was the right call. Everybody wanted it. And Tom Osborne was behind it. Matt Davison endorsed it.
All the Nebraska blood is flowing.
And the Frost Alert shirts were everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how quickly that stuff is going away. Because we're facing a game in Fordham that nobody really wants to see to a great extent. It was going to be a tough sell anyway. Trev Alberts told us that last week, that, hey, Husker Nation, you need to step up. You need to buy these tickets because the sellout streak might be in jeopardy. And every year since 1964. Well, now it's really in jeopardy. And I would be surprised if it actually happens. Maybe there's only 5,000 tickets left to sell and some booster can buy those, or 10,000 or whatever it is. But
it's not going to look full.
I can't believe that people, It's an 11 o'clock game. It's going to be on BTN. But we have to prepare ourselves for the fact that the sellout streak is now over. It's over.
Which is frustrating to me. I know everybody has a wide degree of opinions on that. Some people would like to just get it out of the way so you can finally reset the program, get away from the past. But I mean, to me, it's incredible, and it shows the level of support that Nebraska has had throughout all this time. And you know, it is kind of the last thing that Nebraska can still can claim is that the fans are the best. Certainly on the field, they haven't been the best for the last 20 plus years, but the fans can still claim to be the best. But at a certain point, it gets tough. And that's part of the risk you take by playing an opening week game like that. I mean, you can take all the wind out of your sails. Somebody is going to, and the Big Ten's got those games loaded this year, and it's going to happen. I think what is the Michigan State playing Northwestern on Friday? That's going to happen in that game. One of those programs is going to go, wow, there's our season already. So I mean, it can be, but the bigger thing is if you're trying to protect the sellout streak, knowing that that's a possibility, and then you put Fordham in there, which is already a tough sell. That's just kind of the risk they took. And then obviously, I mean, there's stuff that they can't have, which a mask mandate, and some people just aren't going to want to be going out. But
I thought it was the right move to have the Fordham game. I thought try to get a couple of games under your belt at home before you go to Norman and get a win. So mission accomplished that way. I still think scheduling the Fordham game was the right thing to do, but I had to win the Illinois game.
Yeah,
you would like to see them maybe reversed, and that maybe Nebraska gets a little their feet wet before they have to play anybody. And that team looked, and we've talked about it off the air a little bit. That team for Illinois looked well coached, looked like a team that could line up correctly, had an identity, knew what they wanted to do, run the football. They weren't overly successful at it, but they did what they had planned, and that drive after being tied 16, or they go ahead. But that drive to start the third quarter that took over 8 minutes was beautiful, and took the wind completely out of their sails.
Well, that's part of the problem. Is I'm not convinced Illinois is a bowl team. I mean, they look like they're certainly ahead of schedule after you beat Nebraska, but. They just did the thing that the recipe to beat a Scott Frost team is just don't beat yourself. Wait for Nebraska to make their mistakes, and you could probably, Illinois didn't have. I mean, we have to give some credit to Nebraska. The rush defense wasn't too. I mean, it was pretty good actually when you're playing against a team like that. Like you said, there were moments like that first drive, but when you're playing a Brett Bielema team, you hold them to under 157 yards, whatever it was, 159 yards on the ground. I'd take that walking into the game.
No, you're not getting an argument from me, but Nebraska did some things along the defensive line that I thought were pretty good. The defensive performance, the pass rush, 3 sacks. I'll take that every day. Feldarius Payne, Major Payne had a couple of sacks.
Right.
That was fantastic. You can't blame that game necessarily on the defense. That was a game where, unless you want to blame, Caleb Tanner, you deserve a little blame for.
But Caleb Tanner played his best game I've seen as a Husker.
He did play, and that's the problem. We've seen that so many times. How many times have we seen a defensive back play great for 3 quarters, and then here comes the targeting call that costs you the game when the game is kind of over? Everybody's to blame. An offensive lineman that snaps it over the quarterback's head.
Yeah.
A holding penalty, an offsides, a procedure from guys that are generally playing pretty well. I've said this about Adrian. I think 70%, maybe 60% of the stuff he does is pretty good. 20% is bad, and another 20% is absolutely awful. Just awful sometimes. If you could just get rid of make the bad somewhat bad or just not great, and make the awful just bad. I think Nebraska would win games. There's so many. Here's another, usually 7 points or less, but it should have been 7 points or less. I mean, they missed a couple of extra points. They gave them a safety. They gave Illinois 11 points in this game. Just handed it to them, which is what Nebraska does all the time. You eliminate those things, they win the game.
And that's that thin margin of error that Nebraska's had under the Frost regime for the whole time. These teams could easily be bowl teams. We know they're finishing just short of that, but you just flip a few mistakes in just one game, the first couple of years. Obviously they could have decided to go to a bowl, but with the losing record last year, but in the same vein, they could have, if you just fix a couple mistakes here and there, you win these one possession games. Nebraska has the most one possession losses,
right,
in the since Frost started, I believe. Right. And it's just, but it's not the thing where it's like, oh, well, that's just snake bitten, as Scott Frost says.
That made me mad.
But it's not. It's you completely, repetitively shooting yourself in the foot, and the other team knowing that. Like, every team seems to understand we don't have to be special. We just have to get out of Nebraska's way and let them beat themselves. Have some semblance of a rushing game and a defense, but for the most part, just keep it competitive and wait for Nebraska to shoot themselves in the foot.
And there are coaches in this league that are experts at waiting for Nebraska to beat themselves. Brett Bielema seems like a guy that kind of fits that mold. Pat Fitzgerald has definitely done that. Paul Chryst has done it to Nebraska. It hasn't really needed to a great extent. Iowa and Kirk Ferentz, they've all had that recipe. They know watching this team. I mean, a high school coach can turn on the video and say, I guarantee you that's happened in practice. That doesn't just happen on Saturday. And the thing that George Darlington said to Steve Sipple made me kind of second take. He said what they used to do, they used to drill punt returns. And if you're returning punts, you sit at the 8-yard line. If it's a deep punt and it could go into the end zone, you never go backwards. You always go forward. And he said, it's almost like your ankles are hanging on a cliff and you don't go backwards no matter what. He goes, I guarantee you that's something that's been coached. You don't just do that. He said he never had that happen.
Yeah.
A guy trying to field the ball at a 1 yard. Maybe you're trying to make a play. I get that. I mean, and there was a play that Cam almost broke it and went the distance. He fell down, but that got him taken out of the game for a less athletic guy. Because the rest of the game, we had Oliver Martin catching punts. That cost Nebraska, not just on that play, but the rest of the game.
Yeah, and you wonder if that's just a case of Cam Taylor-Britt knowing, I mean, it was early in the game, but knowing he's the best athlete on Nebraska's team and wanting to get a chance to make a play, like you said, because there's no football reason why you would field that. Right. And it just turned into absolute disaster. But and again, when you look at your leaders in this game, and more so than anything, I always want to repeat, this is on the coaching staff more than the players. But your 3 out of your 4 captains had some absolute rough moments. Of course, Martinez will mention with the fumble, the missed passes. Cam Taylor-Britt, of course, with that punt return that cost him the safety, and Cam Jurgens, over snapping, and then he had some penalties there at Nebraska. So I mean, it's tough when you look at your leaders are making the mistakes.
Yeah, it's just a tough thing to watch right now. I have trouble watching, as people know, Nebraska football in general, but it's torture. I said this to the group I was watching it with. They should make people when they go to jail just have to watch Nebraska football on a loop.
You have to be a fan if you have to watch them.
Just have to sit there and watch it on a loop sometimes. It's very hard to do.
They did pass the ball downfield at least once or a few times. I thought Oliver Martin at least looks like a spark.
Yeah. I think Martin's going to be a good player.
Yeah.
He scored a touchdown late in the game on 4th down, which really should have been a first down.
What a mess.
That was a mess. So even when good things happen, there's things to criticize. But he made a couple of really nice catches in traffic. I don't want this to be all negative, but I don't know how he doesn't go there, Bock. Because even when positive things happen, sometimes it's like you score a touchdown, but it should have been first down, and nobody caught that.
Well, it's just too late in the Frost era to get too excited about a few positives and an 8-point loss to a team that you should beat. I mean, the reasons pile up. I mean, obviously, Barrett Bielema's first game as a coach there, they should be the ones that are making mistakes here and there. And then when their starting quarterback goes out, I mean, I think we all felt like, okay, this game's Nebraska's. It has to be. We've already seen Artur Sitowski at Rutgers. He isn't anything to be afraid of. Nebraska should be able to win this game, and it just slowly got out of hand. And then, I mean, the problem is 28 straight points. You never,
Right.
you're going to, that's talking about digging yourself in a hole. You're rarely going to win a game when you give up 28 straight points. To be the fact that they were competitive, again, to me, shows me something a little bit about their heart and their fight, but
they didn't quit.
But ultimately, that's not going to win a whole lot of games. And unfortunately, there are a lot of games on this schedule where you're going to have to play your best ball, close to your best ball to win these games. And then there's some other games, I think, like the one in Norman, where even if you do play your best ball, you'll probably come up quite a bit short.
I want to talk about Tom Chattel's article for the Omaha World Herald. He basically said, are you, as a Husker fan, he was asking the question out loud, are you angry? Are you just over it? And I would much rather Husker Nation be angry than over.
Yeah.
I hope they are. Maybe we can kind of read the text line and see if they're still angry, if they're just, don't even feel anything anymore. We'll talk about that coming up.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock. In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. This is your High School Minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Harrison Arns. In Class A football in Week 1, Lincoln Northeast fell to Fremont in a shutout with the score ending 35-0. Lincoln High defeated Lincoln North Star in a thriller 26-24. Lincoln Southeast would beat Omaha North 29-19. For local recruiting, Blake Miller from Lord Central Catholic 8-man football team committed to Nebraska's walk-on football program on Sunday. In softball on Saturday, number 6 Lincoln East took home the LPS Classic Pool title. They went 3-0 in their run for the title. They defeated Waverly 6-1, Elkhorn North 11-1, and Omaha Burke 9-7 on their run. To set things up for high school football on Saturday, Lincoln Lutheran will play at Lincoln Christian, Omaha Bryan will play at Lincoln High, Grand Island will play at Lincoln Pius, Lincoln Northeast plays at Lincoln North Star, and Lincoln Southwest will play at Lincoln Southeast. This has been your High School Minute, sponsored by Southeast Community College, with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford. Learn more today at southeast.edu.
Dancing at weddings, walking the dog, playing with grandchildren. These are the small moments that make life great. They're also the moments that chronic pain steals from us. Don't let chronic pain stop you or a loved one from living life. At MD Pain, we wrote the book on effective, ethical pain management. We offer the most up-to-date treatments from Nebraska's leading physicians. Don't let pain stand in your way. Call MD Pain.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank. A relationship you can count on.
Mostly cloudy skies this morning. Should give way to a bit of afternoon sunshine. We'll top out near 83. Winds out of the south at 10 to 15. We will be tracking a chance of thunderstorms by this afternoon into this evening, and the possibility of isolated severe thunderstorms. We'll be looking at a low of 66, a high tomorrow of 83. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Want a free pair of Nebraska football tickets? Head to theticketfm.com's contest tab and register for a free pair of tickets each week of a home game, courtesy of Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of Woods Brothers and 93.7 The Ticket.
Where will you go next? The Southeast Community College Fall 2021 Continuing Education Schedule of classes is arriving in your mailbox. Learn CPR and first aid, or choose a path in trades and industrial technology like automotive or welding, or computers and technology like social media and web development and design, or 19 pages of personal interest classes like making door signs or woodworking. The entire schedule is online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
Are you dragging through each day? Most people are dehydrated or deficient in essential vitamins, minerals, and more. Live Hydration Spa helps you get more out of your life with their IV hydration treatments to help with anti-aging, weight loss, endurance, and more. Their performance packages can help you feel better doing your normal daily routine with boosts of energy and vitality, an increase in immunity, and quicker athletic recovery. Call today for an appointment at 402-413-2042 or walk in at 71st and Pioneers. Live Hydration Spa.
We take our college football Saturdays so seriously at 93.7 The Ticket that one post-game show simply isn't enough. Join Husker Hall of Famer Jay Foreman and DP for The Ticket postgame. 90 minutes following each Nebraska game at Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. They'll break down the game from their vantage point and bring in special guests as well, with giveaways to listeners who drop by. It's The Ticket postgame with Jay Foreman and DP at Tanner's Bar and Grill. Sponsored by Action Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning and Vinnie Kreekak of State Farm Insurance.
T.O. Haas Tire and Auto.
T.O. Haas Tire reminds you there's still plenty of summer left for one more long weekend, one more day in the sun, or one more getaway drive down your favorite road to enjoy one last stretch of summer. And we're here to help with up to $100 back on a new set of Michelin tires, including the all-new Cross Climate 2.
T.O. Haas Tire and Auto, a tradition of trust.
Back to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We do have a good show for you today. Jim Rose, former voice of Husker football and really good Husker football historian, will join us right around 1 o'clock. We'll have some presser stuff as soon as we can get it to you. I believe Scott Foss speaking to the media, and Stephen M. will be with us at 1:30 today. But I was asking the question that Tom Chattel asked in the Omaha World Herald. Are you angry or are you over it? Because I think angry can be healthy. That means you're still passionate.
Yeah.
That means you're still all in. But if you're over it, that's when I really begin to worry. And Kent in Lincoln says, I won't be skipping any tea times on Saturdays, if that means anything. Somebody else on the text line, the Sutter Heyman text line, over it. Might watch some football, but I don't know if it's going to be on my schedule or priority. I think that's pretty common. Apathy. You're getting that on the text line. You think that's where Husker Nation is?
I think that's where it is because I think it's been it's been too long since you've had a winning program. And then, the other thing is that everybody was on board with the Scott Frost thing. Like, and why wouldn't they be? But, from there, the problem is, and I know a lot of people were saying at the time, if Frost doesn't do it, then nobody can. And that's certainly far from the truth. Yeah. But I think that feeling starts to kick in, especially when you lose in week 1 to a team that you had to beat probably to get to bowl eligibility. I mean, that's not Nebraska football. Yeah. None of that statement is. Yeah. So I think it's going to be apathy because it just looks like there's such a long ways to go. And now I think Nebraska fans are starting to look around and feel like their program isn't special. Feel like it is, just among the other Midwestern schools that, and we saw a lot of comparing with like Iowa and Wisconsin and Iowa States and the Kansas States and just, there's recipes for Nebraska to get better, but you don't feel special when compared to those schools right now.
464-5685, been angry for 10 years. Now I'm over it. Supposed to rain Saturday, so I'll probably sit in my garage and watch the grass grow. Always be a fan, probably always watch, but I'm over it. And I have zero expectations, at least positive expectations. That's a pretty common refrain on the text line. Hearts have been broken. I played a lot of golf this last year. Last couple of years, I know people like that. They're just, I'm heading to the golf course. I'm not putting my body through that pain.
And it is, if you put too much into it, that can be the dangerous. If you drink all that Kool-Aid, you're gonna have to throw it up, and you don't want to do that in week 0. But I think to me that's part of the the reason I'm not as upset maybe is that I saw this as a possibility. You go through and we all did, right? I mean, everybody was saying that game was important for a reason, because if they came out and looked like the same way that they have under the Frost era so far, and you lose that game, it's going to put a dark cloud over the program. It's going to possibly get toxic around here. And
we're very close to that.
And that's and but at the end of the day, I do at least want to put some positive spin on it. There's still 11 games. Teams often get better throughout the year. I know the confidence in Frost to really do a whole lot different is pretty low at this point. But I mean, there's still a couple get right games on the schedule ahead of them, and hopefully they can do that. Most coaches don't want to play week 0 or week 1 games like this because you're not at midseason form. So hopefully, they can clean some stuff up and move.
And that's where comments like "we're snake bit" come from. We guessed odd front, and they played an even front. We can't get a break. It feels like he's saying they're snake bit. We faced a brand new coach, had no scouting report on these dudes. They had the huge advantage. That's why we didn't put out a depth chart, because they didn't put out a depth chart. Even if you feel that way, that you're snake bit, you don't say that out loud.
No,
because that's almost like, I think we're hexed. I think we're jinxed. I don't think things are going well. And then you start thinking like that. You can't afford to get into that type of mindset. And Scott Frost will say stuff like that all the time and then go, but what can we do? What can we do?
What if you're 12-21? You're not snake bit. There seems to be a bigger problem going on beyond just bad luck.
Yeah. 464-5685. Tim says, I hate this season because it runs college football for me. I just want to enjoy a full schedule, but any game I watch is a reminder that Nebraska sucks.
That is, it does that to me too. College football is my favorite sport, but if Nebraska's not in it, part of that is always, back in the day you were arguing, well, if Nebraska played in the Big Ten, they'd win all these games, or I can't wait till you play a bowl game against the SEC and we can show them off, and it was always, when you're arguing if you're better than Alabama or Clemson right now, it would be a lot more engaging and you'd want to watch those games. But if you're arguing whether you're the worst team in the Big Ten and you just want to go and watch Rutgers to see if you're better than them, it's not as much fun.
Let's be honest. Illinois is probably at best a 5-win team. They're probably going to have to struggle to get to 5 wins. And you might try to convince yourself, like we have in the years past, like that's probably a pretty good football team, a well-coached football team. They had 22 grad transfers, or they're one of the oldest teams in college football. They're better than we think. Why don't we give Illinois a little credit? You can do that, and I've done that in years past to try to talk myself into watching next week's game and the week after that. Well, I have to anyway, because it's what we do.
You work here.
That's right. But right now, it's just torture, and it's hard to convince yourself this time around. 464-5685. Hi, Brian. How are you?
Hey guys, and just call me Captain Obvious here, but the main thing that struck me from the game is all the same issues from the past couple of years are still there. And bear with me here for a second, but towards the end of the first half, you had 3rd and 2. And we spread 5 wide out, and we heard through fall camp about running downhill, all that. We still had timeouts left. We try to pass. Adrian's had issues fumbling the ball. Of course, they get it and score a touchdown. Then we come back with time left, very little time left remaining, and we throw another pass play, and Adrian gets sacked. Start the second half. They score Illinois on their first series. Nebraska starts out with 4 called pass plays in a row. And I think among many issues in terms of penalties, the miscues, the poor special teams is, after all this time, the offense still has no identity and just seems really dysfunctional. And that's my take.
Yeah.
There you go. They beat Wisconsin last year. No, Illinois did not beat Wisconsin last year.
A couple of years ago.
But
They still weren't a good team.
You might be able to, they do that a couple more times. There's a team that could squeak into a bowl game, I suppose. They could probably win 6 games. But if you're trying to convince yourself that that's a really well-coached team and that's a better team than people expect and not a horrible loss, I think you're making a mistake there.
Well, and I don't think that they're like a whole lot. I don't know how to say this. I don't think they're like a whole lot worse than Nebraska is, right?
No,
they might be. They won. They're probably better than Nebraska because Nebraska shoots themselves in the foot. But they're a fringe bowl team, and that's kind of where Nebraska was entering the season. That's why that game was so important. But they're. It's just to the caller's point, though. I mean, the identity is a big problem, but part of that is your options too. I mean, if you can't run the ball up the middle, and Nebraska couldn't do it, it really limits what you can do, especially with an inaccurate quarterback.
Right.
It's and they did. They threw out the traditional run game as soon as the second half started. They gave up like an 8-minute drive, and I guess they said, well, if that's going to happen, then we can't run the ball anymore. We're just going to pile up more on the clock. Down 14. I would have liked to see them, stick to it a little bit. Because you can't just say, well, we're just going to give up 8-minute drives and that's what's going to kill us. No, you got to go out on defense, make your defense stop them at that point. But they completely abandoned the run until they just absolutely could not run, and they ran 3 plays at the goal line, running clock everywhere, with a running game that hadn't worked all day.
That made no sense.
It was just
you
awful.
Score, and there's only 2 minutes and 41 seconds left.
Yeah.
I mean, you took 6 minutes and 18 plays in an offense that we thought would be pretty explosive when Scott Frost was hired and perfect for situations like that. Instead, you kind of killed the clock, and then Illinois gets the ball, and you finally get it back with 55 seconds left. The game's over.
Yeah.
You effectively,
because this is not a 2-minute offense, much less a 55-second offense.
And that's what we thought maybe that we were getting, that we would get really good situations with a quarterback who could throw and wide receivers who could catch and running backs who could run and an explosive offense in general. We have not gotten that version of Nebraska football yet.
And to be fair a bit to the running game too, Illinois did not respect Nebraska's deep passing. They did a lot of the time. They did load up the box, but I mean, that's the problem too, is that a lot of the hope was with the offensive line and being able to move piles. They just so often are not able to do that. And a lot of the time, especially out of the gate, when the season starts, you think of that South Alabama game, especially, but they just have not been able to start off hot or start off to get a ground game running. It's pretty rough. I mean, it was a problem all last year, the traditional running game, and it continues into this year. And that's why, I wasn't too shocked about this game, because locally you can kind of get excited about what guys are saying at practice and different names that you hear and that you can put in there. But ultimately, they had a few guys transfer here because opportunities were there to play, and they're not, I'm nothing against Toure, and some of these guys are
fine.
Good. And Marquis Step. I mean, but they're not like all conference caliber walking in here.
No.
So you're just, all that hope that was there that this team would magically be a whole lot better, I thought probably was not the case.
Well, you were right. At least on game 1, you were right. But it is frustrating that you see this. Omar Manning, probably the most hyped recruit over the last couple of years, barely plays, barely touches the field. Xavier Betts, who I think is one of the more explosive guys on this team, didn't play. Neither did Sevion Morrison. We were arguing about whether he would be a starter. We thought he'd at least be a contributor and maybe the guy with the most ability to go 60 yards in a given game. It feels like sometimes, I understand. Oliver Martin is a good player, a very good player. But is he better than Omar Manning? Certainly not talent-wise. Or is he better than Xavier Betts? Certainly not talent-wise.
I don't think Oliver Martin's the problem.
I'm not blaming Oliver Martin. He had a great game. But he can get on the field, and yet your most talented players are not getting on the field. At least the ones we thought. I'd love to see Alante Brown. Maybe he's struggling with injuries. Yeah. The Nebraska receivers did not get a lot of separation in that game. It wasn't just Adrian Martinez. He was standing there and sometimes hesitating, yes, and failed to pull the trigger sometimes. But it wasn't like receivers were running wide open the entire game. Yes, you had misses. Hickman was wide open. He missed Toure down the sidelines on a go route down the sidelines. Yeah, there were receivers. We know that he missed a touchdown pass to Wyatt Lever. I get all that, but it wasn't that way the entire game where guys were just free everywhere and he missed them.
Yeah, no, I mean it's always a combination with Martinez. He has he didn't hit a couple good passes. The one to Lever, like you said, probably, I mean, it hit both his hands, wasn't perfect, could have floated in there a lot easier to make it an easy touchdown, but that one shouldn't have been dropped either. But I just kind of go back to something that I thought was going to be a problem the day it happened is Wan'Dale Robinson transferring. I mean, that's going to come back and bite you. That's why I said maybe on that day that might be worth a W this year, because if you had some consistency, if you had a guy that you can go to, they built their offense around him. He might not have been great, but he might have been the difference in a game like this. And that's the problem that we've had, whether it was JD Spielman leaving or Wan'Dale leaving. Sometimes you just can't lose those guys, and you can't build an offense when you have such little weapons to begin with. You can't lose those guys in the offseason.
Eric says, how about putting a little blame on a pathetic offensive line? Well, with Nebraska football, there's always room to spread blame around. The quarterback tends to get an inordinate amount of it because it's the nature of the position. You could say, well, try Logan Smothers. I'm not sure that's necessarily the answer, or Heinrich Harburg, that's necessarily the answer. Adrian could certainly play better than what he did on Saturday, and I really thought he would. But there is blame to go everywhere, and I think it really starts with the coaching they were getting on Saturday. 464-5685. Jim, welcome to the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Hi.
Hi. Hey, Bock, you drive me crazy because I don't think you get it. Brett Bielema took lesser talent, lined up against Frost, and said, I'm going to beat you. His game plan was better. The one thing, if you couldn't see out there, our players were better than Illinois' players. They were more talented, but they're undisciplined. So it's really, really simple. No, we're not going to win national championships against Alabama, but we are more talented than these teams that we are playing. And the other coaches are saying, I'll take my Jimmy and Joe's, and I'll outcoach your Jimmy and Joe's, even though yours are better. I understand you're the minority. Well, we're only going to win 3 games, and you should be. That's why Husker Nation is so upset, because when are we going to stop with these foolish mistakes? And don't blame the players. Don't blame any of that. This is flat out coaching. If you watch that game, there was 5 or 6 opportunities that we win that game by 14, 21 points. And those who had money on it, that really hurts. But it's that simple. Other coaches are saying it's easy, it's simple to outcoach Scott Frost. And you know what? They've proven it. Period. Time and time again. And we keep thinking that this is going to change. It's just like a basketball game. We were superior talented. We were down by how many and started coming back. Well, by that point, it was too late, guys. You already made too many mistakes.
Yep.
It's really, really simple. Other coaches line up against us and say, I can outcoach that staff.
Yep. And in fact, the comment that stood out, thank you, by the way, Jim, on Honda of Lincoln hotline, it really stuck out like a sore thumb to me. Brett Bielema's comment that we only had to worry about one guy, number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And you could say that's a compliment to Adrian, but I think it's more a criticism for everybody else and Adrian, maybe a little bit. And when he was saying that, one guy running the football, and he did run for 75 yards, and he called it a learning thing for his team. But that was pretty noticeable to me, that they said, and I agree with Jim, I think Nebraska was the more talented team, but here's a coach that said we had to worry about one guy. One guy. That's a big indictment.
And it's hard. I mean, when you get down to the talent discussion, and I agree with most of what Jim said. I do think Nebraska is probably, does have some better athletes maybe at the high end, but I just don't know if Nebraska's talent level is so far superior to some of these teams sometimes. Like he said, and like we've said earlier, it is there, and then you just wait for Nebraska to beat themselves, and that's in the coaching, and that's where my blame is completely on coaching. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't know if the talent level is so far superior like it was in the old days, because you can't
like
point to a bunch of guys that
How would you know in some cases if guys aren't developing, and in some cases they get to their sophomore year and they say, you know what, I'm not developing, I'm leaving. the quarterback position, it's hard to say that any quarterback has gotten perceptibly better while at Nebraska.
With Frost.
Under Scott Frost, under Mario Verduzco. I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why, but I look at a quarterback that if you offered me two different versions of Adrian Martinez, one from 2018 and one from now, I'll take 2018 when he didn't know nearly as much as he knows now.
Maybe it's just thinking on the fly, just reacting.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a big part of it. He feels, I mean, look at him in the pocket. He is not decisive right now. Eric on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Well, you just hit exactly what I wanted to ask about, and that's Verduzco. I mean, what is he really doing? What value is he adding to that program? Because when you look at how short the time was they were at Central Florida, did he really develop Mackenzie Milton, or did he just walk into something where he had a ready-made guy and he didn't have time to screw him up? Because Martinez has regressed in the last 4 years. His throwing motion is no better. He throws off his back foot all the time. I mean, he's a mess. And we have one guy dedicated to coaching that position. You know, at some point, maybe you just have to jettison Verduzco and go get yourself a special teams coach. And I'm not saying that fixes everything, but you have an obvious coach on the staff that's pretty much appears useless. And then one other thing, when you're talking about talent, I'm not a big recruiting guy. I don't follow it. I don't know the ins and outs of all of it. But I hear people talk about these recruiting rankings all the time. And either they mean something or they don't. And according to the experts who do talk about recruiting all the time, Nebraska has talent. So if Nebraska has talent, maybe not the greatest talent, but talent that's supposedly better than a lot of other teams in the league, then they're not developing it. So this is when you get into the fourth year, you're not developing anybody. You're not getting any better. The coaches don't seem to be making a difference in anything. There's really only one path, unfortunately, this seems to be able to go down, because I just don't see, I'm in that category now where I'm just kind of getting to the point where I'm apathetic about it. But have a good one, guys.
Yep. Appreciate the call. Thank you, Eric. Got to get to break and come back with the blog jog. We'll do that next.
You're listening to Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch.
No doubt about it, a water softener saves you money. Don't have one? Call the plumbers at Bryant. Just one call and no arm-twisting contracts. For a free estimate, call 467-1111 or go to BryantLincoln.com.
When the clock strikes zero after every Nebraska football game, there's only one place to go for instant coverage. Tune in for the Husker After Party postgame show on 93.7 The Ticket. Each game, win or lose. Call in with all your takes or text the show at 464-5685 and hear quotes from the team and coaches too. It's the Husker After Party postgame show, sponsored by Southeast Community College and N Street Drive-In.
Where will you go next? The Southeast Community College Fall 2021 Continuing Education Schedule of Classes is arriving in your mailbox. Learn CPR and first aid, or choose a path in trades and industrial technology like automotive or welding, or computers and technology like social media and web development and design, or 19 pages of personal interest classes like making door signs or woodworking. The entire schedule is online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
Are you dragging through each day? Most people are dehydrated or deficient in essential vitamins, minerals, and more. Live Hydration Spa helps you get more out of your life with their IV hydration treatments to help with anti-aging, weight loss, endurance, and more. Their performance packages can help you feel better doing your normal daily routine with boosts of energy and vitality, an increase in immunity, and quicker athletic recovery. Call today for an appointment at 402-413-2042 or walk in at 71st and Pioneers. Live Hydration Spa.
Tailgating is back, and Sartor Heyman Jewelers is offering a deal that'll really fire you up. Receive a free Traeger grill with a purchase of $2,500 or more. Take advantage of interest-free financing with no money down. Sartor Heyman has dazzling jewelry in every price range, so buy her the diamonds she's been dreaming of and get instantly rewarded with a free Traeger grill. Offer ends soon, so hurry in and get them while they're hot. Sartor Heyman Jewelers, a Nebraska tradition since 1905.
We take our college football Saturdays so seriously at 93.7 The Ticket that one post-game show simply isn't enough. Join Husker Hall of Famer Jay Foreman and DP for The Ticket postgame. 90 minutes following each Nebraska game at Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. They'll break down the game from their vantage point and bring in special guests as well, with giveaways to listeners who drop by. It's The Ticket postgame with Jay Foreman and DP at Tanner's Bar and Grill. Sponsored by Action Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning and Vinnie Kreekak of State Farm Insurance.
T.O. Haas Tire and Auto.
T.O. Haas Tire reminds you there's still plenty of summer left for one more long weekend, one more day in the sun, or one more getaway drive down your favorite road to enjoy one last stretch of summer. And we're here to help with up to $100 back on a new set of Michelin tires, including the all-new Cross Climate 2.
T.O. Haas Tire and Auto, a tradition of trust.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Are you dragging through each day? Most people are dehydrated or deficient in essential vitamins, minerals, and more. Live Hydration Spa helps you get more out of your life with their IV hydration treatments to help with anti-aging, weight loss, endurance, and more. Their performance packages can help you feel better doing your normal daily routine with boosts of energy and vitality, an increase in immunity, and quicker athletic recovery. Call today for an appointment at 402-413-2042 or walk in at 71st and Pioneers. Live Hydration Spa.
With today's Husker Radio Report, I'm Sean Callahan of HuskerOnline.com. It was the type of start that really Nebraska couldn't have in 2021, but it happened as Scott Frost's team took a disappointing 30-22 loss at Illinois on Saturday.
It looked like the same movie. I just got done telling the guys we can't have this season be the same movie because this game looked like the same movie today.
It was a rough day for quarterback Adrian Martinez as he had a costly fumble, but he remains confident this team can bounce back.
This is the first game of the year. Yes, it was a tough loss, and it was a bit of the same old story for this program that we need to get fixed, but it will not deter us. It will not discourage us. I can tell you that as an individual and as a team. We know that what we're capable of. We just need to go show it on the field and play up to our potential.
Huskers now must get back to work for Fordham on Saturday. Reporting here with the Nebraska football team in Champaign, Illinois over the weekend, I'm Sean Callahan of HuskerOnline.com.
You're listening to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
No blog jog today. Breaking news at practice. Music has been taken away from the players. Normal. They don't get anything.
Not even this. This is a nice this would be nice practice.
Yeah, this is great. This is Noise Storm. This is good stuff.
Get excited about this.
They would be very excited to hear this, but they'll get this. Nothing. And like it. But we get this, see? We get the music. They get this.
Yes.
Nothing. That's it. You'll get this and like it because they're listening to this over there.
Cam Newton likes music too, but if he doesn't get his music, he's take that away from him.
We got into a discussion about quarterback development. There's something going on. Adrian's motion looks a little weird. Sometimes he sidearms some throws. He had, as we all know, Wyatt Lever wide open in the end zone. That's a huge game changer. You're up two touchdowns at that point.
Yeah.
He had Chris Hickman wide over the bit.
Would have been a huge gain if not a touchdown.
At least 20, unless he falls down, and maybe 40, or it might have been a touchdown.
And by the way, they used the ref as a pick twice, which is why it got open on that play.
There were officials laying on the ground the entire game, mostly because they got picked by a Nebraska player, and they didn't call that.
But even the Austin Allen miss on the drag route where it was under the sticks. I know some people were upset about that, but even that, you got a 6'8", 6'9" tight end against a defensive back. You hope that he can fight forward for 5 yards. If you just put it in place.
Yeah, and we were talking about quarterback development. Somebody's making the argument on the text line that Nebraska hasn't had a quarterback that's gotten better since Joe Gans.
It's a long ways away.
I would argue that I think that Armstrong, he took a lot of crap. The team around him wasn't very good, but he got better, right?
He certainly got better from his freshman to sophomore, junior year. Him and Taylor both got better and both got hurt their senior years. Taylor went from an athlete to somewhat of something that you could sell as a quarterback, at least to the degree that he won the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, co-offensive Player of the Year is junior year. And again, I always think his senior year, maybe if he didn't get hurt, and it was at full strength, it would have been a completely different story. Maybe toward the end of Pelini's regime here. But
to our original question, the Tom Chattel question, do you think fans are angry, which I would hope they would still be, or just over it? If you're taking a pulse of Husker Nation, how do you answer that question?
I think that there's still enough anger there, and I hope that there is from the diehards. I think there's a lot of apathy. You see it on the text line. You just talking to people around town. Again, I think a lot of it is just because you put so much on Scott Frost. I mean, it was just such a belief that he could dig you out of the hole. But this is something that happens to any program when you start to lose 5 years in a row. Nebraska was so special for so long because you followed Devaney with 25 straight years of national title contention with Osborne, and that's the sellout streak. That's why everybody was interested in going to these games. But once you start to add year after year after year after year, and now after another year of losing football and things don't seem to be getting better, that's when you start to people say, well, I'm not going to care as much. I'll care about other things and check back in on the program when they're good.
Yeah, Gus says, I think Illinois will probably only win one more game. That could be Purdue.
I don't know if they're that bad.
I don't know. I'll have to. That's why I'm kind of anxious to know. I think they're going to be well coached going forward. I don't know how good they are. I was fuming the whole game, says Taylor, because my passion cooled off at the moment right now. Here's the positive spin. If they focus on getting rid of those errors, positive spark will be there. I'm confident of that. Are you confident of that there could be a turnaround, a positive spark?
I'm confident there could be. I'm not confident there will be. I think that, but I think if you're a Husker fan, you certainly shouldn't give up on the season already. I know it's piling on the frustration, but 0-1, there's still 11 games left. Just like Illinois did, you can win a game you're not supposed to, and kind of turn this thing around. So I'll still support the team. I think they fought pretty hard. At least, the effort was out there and all of that. I think it gets interesting once you get to this discussion of maybe we are later in the season where it's, do you want Frost to get bowl eligible so that he'll be back? And if you don't know if that's going forward. So, that can always get kind of weird. But in any case, at this point, I hope everybody's still on board. It's just one game. It's college football. It's awesome. To me, it will always be awesome, regardless of how good Nebraska or anybody is. I'll watch the top end of college football.
But let's face it, we're excited about Husker basketball because we know they're really talented.
Yeah.
Really talented. I'm not sure how talented this team is right now. I think there is some talent there. I would like to see it at some point. And there's still time. You're right. 11 games left. Not over it. We'll always watch. Hope they can get it going. There you go. Somebody who's not over it. They're in it. And maybe still enthusiastic to agree. Let's get to break and come back with more box tops. What is it today?
We have the top 10. This is basically an Artur Sitkowski discussion because of the top 10 quarterbacks Nebraska has beaten in the Scott Frost era. Not a whole lot of great ones, but we'll run through them again.
I can't wait to talk more about Artur Sitkowski. We'll do it next.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock.
Tailgating is back, and Sartor Heyman Jewelers is offering a deal that'll really fire you up. Receive a free Traeger grill with a purchase of $2,500 or more. Take advantage of interest-free financing with no money down. Sartor Heyman has dazzling jewelry in every price range, so buy her the diamonds she's been dreaming of and get instantly rewarded with a free Traeger grill. Offer ends soon, so hurry in and get them while they're hot. Sartor Heyman Jewelers, a Nebraska tradition since 1905.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Mostly cloudy skies this morning should give way to a bit of afternoon sunshine. We'll top out near 83. Winds out of the south at 10 to 15. We will be tracking a chance of thunderstorms by this afternoon into this evening and the possibility of isolated severe thunderstorms. We'll be looking at a low of 66, a high tomorrow of 83. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Mike Schaefer here with 5-star child care provider Lee Beecher from Bubbles and Blocks. Let's start with what makes Bubbles and Blocks special.
We have 3 beautiful locations in Lincoln that provide the safety, security, and reliability you need while also bringing a family feel to each classroom at every location.
I also hear some congratulations are in order.
Thank you. Yes, we just won the Lincoln Choice Award for Best Daycare and Preschool for the 3rd year in a row.
What should people do if they want to join the Bubbles and Blocks family?
Call to set up a tour to enroll your child today, or you can visit bubblesandblocks.com to apply to join our team.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Deck City is Lincoln's DIY deck headquarters. With real deck professionals, they can help you throughout the entire process. They also offer financing for qualified customers. Deck City offers the best quality materials so you have a deck built to last. There's everything from yellowwood lumber to the best quality TimberTech composites on the market and high quality aluminum railings by Westbury or Diamond Piers for easy footing install. For those looking to bring your wood deck back to life, they offer good proof ready seal stain. Deck City, your deck material headquarters, is now open Saturdays from 9 to 1, 2 blocks north of 33rd and Cornhusker Highway.
You could close out 2021 winning $2,022 and go on to win $1 million at the beginning of 2022 in the Nebraska Lottery's Powerball's Rockin' 15 promotion. Until September 25th, buy a Powerball with Power Play ticket and enter for a chance to be one of 15 lucky people to win $2,022 and a chance to win $1 million at the start of the new year. It's a promotion that truly rocks. Powerball top prize odds 1 in 292 million.
Welcome to today's episode of The Great Unknowns. Last time we talked about why chickens can't just cross the road in peace. Today's topic is the great unknowns of the future. Like, am I ready for what life throws at me? Well, that answer is easy. Just call a local State Farm agent. State Farm agents will help you plan for the what-ifs in life so you know what to expect if the unexpected happens. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krekak, at 402-474-1173.
Want a free pair of Nebraska football tickets? Head to theticketfm.com's contest tab and register for a free pair of tickets each week of a home game, courtesy of Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of Woods Brothers and 93.7 The Ticket. We take our college football Saturdays so seriously at 93.7 The Ticket that one post-game show simply isn't enough. Join Husker Hall of Famer Jay Foreman and DP for the Ticket postgame. 90 minutes following each Nebraska game at Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. They'll break down the game from their vantage point and bring in special guests as well, with giveaways to listeners who drop by. It's the Ticket postgame with Jay Foreman and DP at Tanner's Bar and Grill, sponsored by Action Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning and Vinny Krekak of State Farm Insurance. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth. 93.7 The Ticket. This is Tom and Bock, coming at you live from Coppel Chevrolet GMC Studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Tom Stevens.
I always tell people, I just hope they see a guy that loves what he does.
Jake Bockoven.
I didn't get any stupider, I know that. I had never been very smart.
Tom and Bock starts now.
Already zoomed through hour number 1. We're into hour number 2. It is Tom and Bock. Taylor disagrees with you, Bock. Nobody ever disagrees with Bock. That never happens. But he does. Nebraska has honestly ruined college football for me. Don't have any desire to watch us anymore. That's sad.
That's very sad.
That's very sad. I always say that after every game, and then Friday hits, and I'm like, maybe peek at that Nebraska Fordham game. You know what? If Adrian has a big game and they get a couple of 100,000, a couple of thousand yard rushers this year, maybe it starts with Fordham. Maybe you get some momentum.
It doesn't seem to matter how bad Nebraska is, no matter what. And it's happened to me, over the years where you have to do something while the game's going on. I'm constantly just thinking about the game and how's it going, no matter what I'm doing at that time. There's no way that I won't be thinking about the game.
Yeah, I'm that.
So I might as well watch it.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch it. But it is Nebraska versus Fordham. Have you heard that? I mean,
yeah, that's not too exciting.
I mean, it's Nebraska. I mean, we're playing it, and I was all for it. I mean, I took some crap on the text line for that. I think you need a couple of warm-up games before you get to Oklahoma, and it would be nice for us to get a peek at a guy like Savion Morrison, and maybe that's his breakout game.
Yeah, and maybe, and you're right. I mean, it will probably be the opportunity to see some of the backups, see some of the depth that they have, but more than anything, they need to work on the starters. I mean, they need to get that thing in check, and hopefully they win that game by a lot. I mean,
if they don't, I'm really worried if they don't just crush them.
But it's really interesting what's going to happen against Buffalo, because I think a lot of people assumed you beat Illinois, you beat Buffalo, you're 3-0 going into, and now that you've lost to Illinois and things don't look better, this talk about toxic. If you lose to Illinois heading to Norman, obviously Norman's not going to get a whole lot better. It's going to get rough if that happens.
Oh, they can't lose to Buffalo. I said they can't lose to Illinois, and that certainly happened. And I feel better about Nebraska's chances. If Lance Leipold or Leopold, I don't know how to say it, Leopold or Leipold is there, who's now at Kansas, and he took a lot of his staff with him to Kansas. If he's still at Buffalo, I'm really worried about this game. Really, really worried. But it didn't seem to matter that you had a new coach at Illinois.
No.
Yeah, so maybe it won't matter as much.
And they do have their starting quarterback back, which once we get to my list, you'll see. You don't.
Is his name Arthur as well?
His name is. It's not Arthur. It's Arthur.
Arthur.
I'm not sure. Arthur.
Arthur. I don't know. Let's get to box 10. Come on. It's right here. There it is.
There we go.
All right. It's box tops today. What's the category again?
The top 10 quarterbacks Nebraska has beaten in the Scott Frost era.
All right.
Which is kind of a joke because there aren't that many great ones. But we'll run through them. And it's really just because
they only have 12 wins.
They have 12 wins, so I eliminated 2 guys. David Israel, Bethune-Cookman. My apologies, you didn't make it. Also, Cephas Johnson III of South Alabama. Didn't quite make the cut. Artur Sitkowski moved up on the list.
All right.
Very quickly, I'll go through the losses just to kind of give you an idea of who Nebraska's losing to and who they're beating. Brandon Peters, obviously you have a loss there too if you're counting starters. Artur Sitkowski, I would give the win to this past Saturday. But anyways, Tanner Morgan has beaten Nebraska. Spencer Petras, Peyton Ramsey, Justin Fields twice, Nate Stanley twice, Jack Cohn twice, Jack Plummer, Stephen Montez twice, Dwayne Haskins, Clayton Thorson, Alex Hornibrook, David Blau, Shea Patterson, remember him at Michigan?
Oh, yeah.
And Caleb Barker at Troy.
Oh, I forgot about the Troy game. I had almost dismissed it from my mind.
Yeah, you might want to, but it's there.
Man, that's bad.
Okay, so the top 10 quarterbacks Nebraska has beaten in the Scott Frost era. We'll start with Will Levis over there at Penn State. He's now at Kentucky. He started versus Nebraska and maybe against Iowa when he was at Penn State, but didn't have a long stint there. They tried to replace their quarterback. Didn't work well. He's 14-21 for 219 yards in the Huskers. 30-23 win over Penn State in 2020. His career, 644 yards passing, 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He's still pretty young. He's at Kentucky. We'll see what goes on.
Yeah. There you go. Who's the worst quarterback? I guess Will Levis. He's the worst
among the worst. Yes, I mean just because he's unproven. I mean everybody else kind of has their stats in there.
That's true, but he might be the most athletic of all the 10.
Yeah. Number 9, Aiden Smith. I probably should put him back. He's got some bad career.
He was
stats.
a walk-on.
Aiden Smith was
Northwestern.
760 yards passing in his career, 3 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Went 19 of 32. With an interception in the Huskers' most ugly one I've probably ever seen, 13-10 in 2019.
Yeah, and he beat out Hunter Johnson to win that gig. He's a walk-on. Hunter Johnson, a 5-star.
Yeah.
So
he still wasn't good, though. And Hunter Johnson's not good.
No, Hunter Johnson at least wasn't good, and maybe somebody's trying to convince us that now he's suddenly good.
He's starting.
Yeah, he is starting for now.
Number 8 on the list, Rocky Lombardi. now at Northern Illinois. His career was 1,902 yards at Michigan State, 11 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. He sure had an ugly one. Maybe Scott Frost's best victory, the 9-6 victory in the snow against Michigan State his first year. Rocky that day was pretty rough. 15 of 41 for 146 yards and an interception.
Great name, not a great quarterback.
Not a great quarterback.
No, not very good at all.
Number 7 on the list, somebody people will remember and recognize, former Husker A.J. Bush, who, of course, transferred to Illinois. He had a career 1,512 yards passing, 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. His career, again, spanned from Nebraska to Virginia Tech to Illinois. He also added 862 yards rushing and 8 touchdowns on his career. Was 11 of 25 for 126 yards and 2 interceptions against Nebraska. Passing, not so good. Rushing, really good. 25 carries, 187 yards, and 3 touchdowns in what was a 54-35 shootout loss to Nebraska in 2018.
Were you ever an A.J. Bush fan when he was at Nebraska?
Not as anything more than a backup, but I liked his frame.
I think he was recruited out of Georgia. I think his only other offer was like Georgia Southern.
Yeah, he's a 2-star. There wasn't much hype around him.
But I thought that he had some decent ability.
Yeah.
He was a big guy, 6'3", 220. He had that really pretty good spring game, which never means anything. But I thought he had a chance. And he had some good games at Illinois.
Yeah, he did. Ended up starting there. Yeah. And you wonder, this was when he was backing up Tommy. I never thought he was better than Tommy.
No.
But, maybe later in the years I would have given him a start. Number 6 on the list, Artur Sitkowski. Who just got his victory against Nebraska. But Nebraska beat him last year.
That's right.
28-21 when he was at Rutgers. He was 10 of 20 for 122 yards. Part of the reason I think that this loss this past week stings is because of Artur. He does not have a great career number so far. 2,155 yards passing, 10 touchdowns, 20 interceptions at Rutgers in Illinois.
Yeah, I thought probably like a lot of other people when Brandon Peters went down with the injury, Nebraska's looking really good. And he comes in, he didn't play great, but 10 of 20, and he always seemed to hit the big play, and he didn't make any dramatic mistakes, and Nebraska obviously did.
And how about that absolute dime he threw to Deuce Spann right over Markel Dismuke?
That was a perfect pass.
The 1 yard line, yeah.
And did you think he was in at first glance?
I thought it was close, but yeah he was in. And
it was a perfect pass.
Yeah, and when Brock Heward fawns over a pass, I'll agree with him because he's a heck of a quarterback himself.
Right. That's right. It was a great pass and maybe a little lucky.
Yeah.
It was a perfectly thrown ball, though.
They didn't ask too much out of him. That was kind of the one play that he really showed up. But in any case, he can put that on his highlight film. Now everybody will think that's who he is.
Yep. That's right. It's like a high school recruiting video.
Yeah.
You believe that stuff, and then you realize it's not true.
Not from play to play.
Yeah.
Number 5 on my list of top quarterbacks Nebraska has beaten in the Scott Frost era, Brandon Peters, who, of course, started the game. It was one of the last 2 games he started against Nebraska. He's a career 3,028 yards passer, 25 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, was 9 of 22 for 78 yards, a touchdown and an interception in Nebraska's 42-38 shootout win over Illinois in 2019. Peters, like I said, now 2-1 as a starter versus Nebraska. But he had a lot of hype coming into his career at Michigan. That didn't turn out so well. It's going all right at Illinois, but it does beg the question, and because I don't know how long he's out, and we'll see. But would you rather lose that game or lose your starting quarterback for a significant amount of time? If you're Nebraska, even just throw that one.
Yeah, I would. I'd rather. Well, in their case, I think they're maybe getting a better quarterback than the one they lost.
Yeah, not much of a difference, at least.
No, in fact, I wonder if Nebraska might have won if Peters stays in.
He cooked Nebraska last year. You got to keep that in mind.
He did, but he wasn't looking good, and he was sacked. Was he?
Yeah, he was sacked a lot.
3 times. I think all the sacks came against him.
Yeah. Early in that game, it looked like they were just not going to be able to get much of a passing game going at all. They didn't have a whole lot of wide receivers, and Nebraska's pressure was great. But, yeah, once Sitkowski came in, it seemed like the thing turned around. Number 4 on the list is Ross Bowers, a career 6,590-yard passer, 35 touchdowns, 22 interceptions. That was at Cal and Northern Illinois, where he played Nebraska. They ended up losing to Nebraska, but he was 25 of 44, 248 yards, and an interception. But they lost that game. Probably pretty significant.
I remember
him.
him.
2019.
I remember him.
Yeah, he was solid.
They beat Cal.
Yeah. Number 3, the top quarterbacks Nebraska has beaten the Scott Frost era. I'm going to go with Jack Plummer at number 3. He was 33 of 47 for 334 yards and 3 touchdowns, starting again at Purdue. 2,541 yards passing so far in his career, 19 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. They ended up losing to Nebraska 37-27 last year, though.
Jack Plummer, not as good as Jake. They're not related.
No.
Not as. The Purdue starts like 15 different quarterbacks. I mean, who are they? Are they?
I think they're starting Jack Plummer.
They're starting
again.
Plummer again. Okay.
Yeah. Number 2 on my list of one of the best quarterbacks Scott Frost has ever beaten at Nebraska would be Josh Jackson, a career 4,840 yards, 37 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions at Virginia Tech and Maryland. A lot of Virginia Tech transfers on this list.
Yeah.
Was 4 of 12 for 33 yards in a 54-7 loss to Nebraska, and what may have been probably Frost's best game at Nebraska in 2019. I think he had somebody else, was it Pigram, come in that game too, and they had like a total of 57-yard passing that game. Nebraska's defense was dominant that day.
I think they used like 4 quarterbacks in that game.
Yeah, they were down.
They were really down on the depth chart. I mean, Nebraska you're right. That probably was the best performance by Nebraska. And the worst performance I've seen from a group of quarterbacks at Maryland. They were terrible.
Yeah, that was rough. And Josh Jackson, like I said, career was actually pretty good. That's why he's high on this list, but was awful that day. And quickly, as the music ends, the best quarterback that Scott Frost has beaten is Tanner Morgan of Minnesota. He's had 46 touchdowns, 18 interceptions, his career 6,028 yards passing as he starts this year. He was 11 of 16 for 214 yards in his first attempt to beat Nebraska. Nebraska won 53-28 in 2018 or in 2000. And Frost's first win as a Husker actually. But lately, Tanner Morgan's got the best of Nebraska, so he's got his payback.
Somebody says that list says that list makes him depressed of all the unknown quarterbacks that have wins against Nebraska. But Nebraska beat those guys. The ones
Nebraska beat all those guys.
All the ones that you pointed out.
Destroyed them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of my point, was to show you that Frost wins have not been against very good quarterbacks, and especially if it was against good quarterbacks, they had awful days that day. So
Tanner Morgan was good, by far. I mean, and it still is good. I worry about him. I forgot about the 2018 that they actually won that game.
Yeah.
So there's hope. There's I don't know how much hope, but there's just a little bit of hope. This is something that I've been thinking about since it happened. The best moment in that game was not the best moment, but they were, coming back. Nebraska down a couple of scores, trailing by 14, 9:14 left to go in the game. And they drive, pretty good drive. But it's a 6-minute drive. It took 18 plays, and you trailed by 14. And of course, they get down there. It was really first and goal. Nobody knew that it was actually on the chains, 4th and goal. And I don't know how you don't challenge that or 4th and 1.
And that was weird. That whole drive was weird because it seemed like the officials were spotting the ball like quickly, like Nebraska was running hurry up, but Nebraska was not quite like in hurry up mode. They were like kind of half huddle, quick huddle.
You were running the football at the probably the very point in the game that you didn't need to run.
That was an awful decision.
And so you do score, but you burn up 6 minutes on the clock, and that leaves 2 minutes and 41 seconds left to go. And that's, I guess, one of the defining moments of the Frost era. I thought they would be explosive. I thought they would have playmakers to be able to go, 2 minutes when they get the ball with 9 minutes left to go and score with about 7 minutes left to go. So you have plenty of time to, score another touchdown. You knew you were going to need 2 and maybe 3 with the way they were kicking extra points, missing 2 extra points.
They needed more urgency on that drive, and it just wasn't there.
And it just wasn't there. And I guess it didn't stun me because I think that a new identity is trying to be developed where Nebraska controls the ball more, runs the football. They don't seem to have the explosive wide receivers to get big plays. Although, where's Omar Manning? Where's Xavier Betts? Where's the explosive players that maybe could get you a 60-yard touchdown? And you don't have to spend 6 minutes on the clock.
Throw one, just see if it happens. Yeah. Have somebody run a 9 route and throw it down.
But that's like a lot of moments in Nebraska football. They score a touchdown and you're pissed. Like a good thing happens, and then for example, Nebraska forces a turnover right before halftime. I mean, it's perfect opportunity for Nebraska in a 9-all game to grab a little momentum, and they're the ones up 16-9 going to the locker room. Instead, on 3rd and 3, and I yelled it out in the place where I was watching it. You go with the quarterback draw. Martinez gets stripped. It's a scoop. It's a scoop and score, which is ridiculous. You don't even see that very often.
Yeah.
And it completely changes the momentum of the entire game. I mean, this, even when good things happen, you just get a turnover, you have a worse turnover. It feels like that's Nebraska football. And maybe that's why you hear things like we're snake bit. But I still don't think it's healthy to say it out loud. But it does feel like at times Nebraska's snake bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, it could just be that maybe a fumble isn't a scoop and score. Maybe just somebody lands on it. That'd be a little bit nicer. But it's those catastrophic mistakes. And sometimes when mistakes often come in pairs. When you're really worried about the previous mistake or kind of on edge because of the previous mistake, it'll happen. Nebraska did only have one turnover that game. I think that's worth mentioning. The turnovers have been a problem. It was
so devastating.
Well, that's the problem. It kind of with the Tanner Lee thing is with sometimes if you have a turnover that doesn't lead to points, it's a wash. Doesn't matter that much. It might mess up field position, but these turnovers often are just leading directly to 7 points.
And Caleb Tanner, that's a turnover, and it didn't count as a turnover, but that was a 30-yard penalty, and you already had a turnover. Well, you already got the ball. You had the turnover. And then you create basically a turnover by not getting the ball because you do something kind of silly, and we see that a lot. And it's not just a 15-yarder, it's a 30-yarder because of the taunting on top of that. That feels like Nebraska football in a nutshell.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people didn't like that call. I don't like it, but it's what football has become. Is like you have to tackle the quarterback in a certain way. You can't drive him into the ground. Obviously, no placement. It was just like a form tackle that he drove him to the ground.
There was no high shot.
No,
I mean, it was a perfect form tackle. It did look like he maybe lifted him up a little bit and drove him into the ground. And that's where they get that.
Yeah.
But that if Scott Frost is saying Nebraska's snake bit, that's allowed to be happening. I've heard this so many times over the last couple of years. You get what you allow. DP loves saying that. It's coached.
Yeah.
It doesn't just happen. You catch the ball at the 2-yard line because you were allowed to do that. You were coached to do that. When Charlie McBride, it wasn't Charlie McBride. It was George Darlington that said it. That's never happened, and he was head of special. He was one of the guys that coached special teams from time to time. So that never happened, not one time at Nebraska, not one time. But you see special teams mistakes just all the time at Nebraska. I mean, whether it's punters trying not to fake a punt and doing it 3 different times and still getting the first down, whether it's allowing 3 kickoff returns, which they did last year, for touchdowns. Right when you grab the momentum, I think one was in the Iowa game, you just grab the momentum, or the Wisconsin game where you just grab the momentum, or against Rutgers where you just, that's always the case when you score. You're kicking back to the other team, and you don't want to give them momentum. And Nebraska can't afford it because of the smallest amount of air that they have. They have just a tiny fraction of air, but they do win that game. Like, do you believe for a second that if Pat Fitzgerald is coaching that team, that they make those mistakes?
No. I think that's the problem. That's why a lot of people are and you're going to see it. That's what's going to be frustrating about watching the season unfold. If it does that way, is you're going to play a bunch of teams that, callers can call in and say they're not as talented as Nebraska, but you watch them play with more discipline. And that's what we were told and preached all offseason would happen. And we were told that special teams would be a big part of that. They're finally paying attention to special teams. And then special teams just looked awful. I mean, other than the kickoffs, we have to give credit to the fact that they did get several touchbacks. But other than that, missed extra points. The punting was ugly. Obviously, the safety resulting from the punt return. The kick returners look like they're taught to run toward the nearest guy toward them and not make it to the top 25. Just get stuffed by whoever's the closest defender. I mean, it all that offseason preaching of work on special teams, and it looked just about as bad as it ever has.
Yep. Daniel Cherney had 5 punts for 34 yards, including a 19 and a 26-yarder. And that's his very first game. He's an Australian guy. He's a rugby guy. Hopefully that will get better. It does look like he has a leg. When he had a full field to kick, it felt like he has a leg that can boot it. Maybe that's not the first time you'd want to punt, is when you're trying to do the coffin corner thing, and you're not necessarily great at it. And it looked like he tried to do it a couple
Well, he shanked a few of them, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, you have 5 of them, you shank 2 of them. You're not going to be a starting punter for very long.
I guess the one good thing that I did see from special teams is Brandon Frank has a leg.
Right.
And it does say something when you can just say, we're either going to kick it really high to the 1 yard line or we're going to kick it through the end zone. At least that's something they haven't had before.
Especially with probably a kick coverage unit. I'm not going to, given the way the rest of the special teams looks like, just try to get those touchbacks.
Not so special. Let's go to break and come back with more on Tom and Bock.
You're listening to Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch.
Are you dragging through each day? Most people are dehydrated or deficient in essential vitamins, minerals, and more. Live Hydration Spa helps you get more out of your life with their IV hydration treatments to help with anti-aging, weight loss, endurance, and more. Their performance packages can help you feel better doing your normal daily routine with boosts of energy and vitality, an increase in immunity, and quicker athletic recovery. Call today for an appointment at 402-413-2042 or walk in at 71st and Pioneers. Live Hydration Spa.
With today's Husker Radio Report, I'm Sean Callahan of HuskerOnline.com. It was the type of start that really Nebraska couldn't have in 2021, but it happened as Scott Frost's team took a disappointing 30-22 loss at Illinois on Saturday.
It looked like the same movie. I just got done telling the guys we can't have this season be the same movie because this game looked like the same movie today.
It was a rough day for quarterback Adrian Martinez as he had a costly fumble, but he remains confident this team can bounce back.
This is the first game of the year. It was a tough loss, and it was a bit of the same old story for this program that we need to get fixed, but it will not deter us. It will not discourage us. I can tell you that as an individual and as a team. We know that what we're capable of. We just need to go show it on the field and play up to our potential.
Huskers now must get back to work for Fordham on Saturday. Reporting here with the Nebraska football team in Champaign, Illinois over the weekend, I'm Sean Callahan of HuskerOnline.com.
We take our college football Saturdays so seriously at 93.7 The Ticket that one post-game show simply isn't enough. Join Husker Hall of Famer Jay Foreman and DP for The Ticket postgame. 90 minutes following each Nebraska game at Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. They'll break down the game from their vantage point and bring in special guests as well, with giveaways to listeners who drop by. It's The Ticket postgame with Jay Foreman and DP at Tanner's Bar and Grill. Sponsored by Action Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning and Vinnie Kreekak of State Farm Insurance.
Your home should not be a zoo to unwelcomed animals. Let the experts at Bats to Rats take care of those problems. Dane has been a leader in wildlife and pest management and prevention in Lincoln and the surrounding area for 15 years. He can help you get rid of bats, rodents, and anything else. Whether it's residential or commercial buildings, schools, apartments, or churches, they're always a phone call away. Call today at 402-310-0904 or visit batsterats.com. Bats to Rats Wildlife Control and Prevention.
Last year, the average starting pay for an SCC truck driver training program graduate was $44,720. Southeast Community College can now make that a reality in only 8 weeks with its professional truck driver training class starting in October. SCC's fleet of 12 trucks and professional instructors will prepare you for a new career. You'll end the course with your Class A CDL. Learn more about SCC's professional truck driver training class at southeast.edu/truckdriver. SCC, your path to possible.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Where can you get a straightforward loan for a new set of wheels? Liberty First. Liberty First Credit Union looks at things differently. No hidden charges or early prepayment penalties and rates as low as 1.98% APR. Talk to a lender who's here for people, not for profits. People like you. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose. Rates may vary depending on year and miles. Subject to credit approval. Not available for current LFCU loans. See Liberty First Credit Union for details.
Are you dragging through each day? Most people are dehydrated or deficient in essential vitamins, minerals, and more. Live Hydration Spa helps you get more out of your life with their IV hydration treatments to help with anti-aging, weight loss, endurance, and more. Their performance packages can help you feel better doing your normal daily routine with boosts of energy and vitality, an increase in immunity, and quicker athletic recovery. Call today for an appointment at 402-413-2042 or walk in at 71st and Pioneers. Live Hydration Spa.
Need a better job? Looking for a career? Dana Trucking and Excavating is what you're looking for. They are a rapidly growing company looking for a heavy mechanic. Dana Trucking and Excavating offers a team culture with lots of benefits, including 401k, health, annual raises, paid vacation, holidays, and much more. It's a great career opportunity. Want to love what you do? Join the Dana Trucking team. Apply online at www.gainatrucking.com. That's www.gainatrucking.com.
Hi, this is Kurt, your shop manager at A1 Automotive here in downtown Lincoln. My promise to you is this: you won't find another automotive repair facility that genuinely cares about you and your vehicle. Our service is outstanding and our customer service is better. Please give me a call for all your automotive repair questions and needs. Call me at 402-477-4660. We were built on small town values, and that shows in how we treat others. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Welcome to today's episode of The Great Unknowns. Last time, we talked about why chickens can't just cross the road in peace. Today's topic is the great unknowns of the future. Like, am I ready for what life throws at me? Well, that answer is easy. Just call a local State Farm agent. State Farm agents will help you plan for the what-ifs in life so you know what to expect if the unexpected happens. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Kreekak, at 402-474-1173.
You could close out 2021 winning $2022 and go on to win $1 million at the beginning of 2022 in the Nebraska Lottery's Powerball's Rockin' 15 promotion. Until September 25th, buy a Powerball with Power Play ticket and enter for a chance to be one of 15 lucky people to win $2022 and a chance to win $1 million at the start of the new year. It's a promotion that truly rocks. Powerball top prize odds 1 in 292 million.
You're listening to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Coming up within the next 15 or so, Wingman Bock will make his acting debut.
That's right.
On the ticket. He and Nick will act out a scene from a movie. You identify it, you get chickens. So it's that simple.
Hoyos. No, not yet. No.
Don't jump the gun on that one.
Oh, okay.
Let's just roll through some of these comments from the presser today. I'm most interested, I hope you are as well, in the comments from Adrian Martinez. Let's start with Adrian. This is Adrian talking about bringing the energy as leaders today.
100%. They're very important, and it's our responsibility. And the guys definitely stepped to the plate today, and we brought the energy. And despite sore bodies, whatever, that week one loss is done with. We still have the entire season ahead of us and everything that we want to accomplish ahead of us. So we have to treat it as such and approach today, which I believe we did, with that in mind.
All right. Adrian Martinez talking about the effect of Illinois showing up in a different defense.
My job is to know what I need to do against any front, any defense, whatever. And I knew sort of going into it that I needed to be light on my feet depending on what they showed up in. But it can be a lot, and really that changes a game plan. And for me, my reads will change, but I wouldn't say it's an excuse for a poor decision.
Martinez, fine line between making a late throw and running.
Are you talking about times I decided to take off?
Yeah, like that fine line between making a throw at the last second before you.
Yeah, there definitely is a fine line there, and you run the risk of moving up through the pocket and guys swiping at you while you're trying to make something happen. Usually it's, all right, make a decision, roll with it, and it's a general feel thing, I would say.
Are you disappointed that what happened in practice didn't translate from fall camp?
I would say coming out strong and establishing that run game and being more consistent, just as a unit. I could speak for the offense. Coach Frost preaches about special teams, about the turnover battle, and about the line of scrimmage and being physical. And
we need to be more consistent in all those areas. All of us do. So
this is interesting. Mario Verduzco on the field, not in the box.
Yeah, I love Verduzco on the field. I loved him on the field. And I loved him in the box too, but he brings a certain presence, and I love being able to go to the sideline and talk to him. He really did a good job of making sure the QB unit was around some of the other positions as well, and excited for what's to come in that area.
Is it tough to convey emotion when Verduzco is in the box?
I would say the emotional piece is harder to do from the box, and it's a lot easier to sort of connect on that level on the field and maybe see some things that you wouldn't see up in the box.
Was that your request?
What's that?
Did he move down there? I mean, did you ask him to do that?
I don't really want to go into that.
All right. Interesting there. Adrian Martinez and his trust in Oliver Martin.
Yeah. I do really trust Oliver. He's a guy who will go up and get it. He proved that Saturday, and he's really fast. He can make plays. He knows where he's supposed to be. I think he's a stud, and excited for what else he could do for us this year.
Let's also get this. Adrian talking about self-evaluation.
There's some moments where I thought I made some good decisions, and then there were some other moments where I needed to stand and deliver, and I didn't make the throw. Inaccurate on a couple passes, and I'm look back at it and going to improve. Simple as that. I owe the guys better and the coaches better, and I'm going to do that this next week.
And, of course, the real controversy of the day, there was no music at practice. What happened?
Yeah, I noticed it. I really didn't put too much stock into it. Have a lot of other things need to worry about, need to improve on. So music, no music, we're out there to get better.
You should get the option of bringing your own music if they don't have it available.
I'm sad he didn't put too much stock in it. They were trying to affect the kids.
That's right. It was punishment day. You win that game, you get all the music you want.
Oh, there would have been music.
There would have been music. There would have been, you probably would have had the guy taking requests. They have a DJ.
Yeah. What, did he get paid today?
I don't think anybody.
I guess not. He got the day off.
Did he get no money? Maybe he got no money. There's no music. There's no DJ. That's for sure. Did you want to hear from Turner Corcoran?
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Are you excited to show what you can do in the run game? Because they didn't on Saturday. I don't know if you noticed, Bock.
We were really excited for it. And, when they came out with a different front, we weren't really, I wouldn't say we weren't caught off guard, but, we just didn't react the way we should have.
Well, they got an odd front instead of an even front. Do you buy any of that? It's something.
It's something, but it's something that should have been somewhat prepared for. I mean, that was part of the talk all off season. And that's the frustration with it. Is did they have plan B, or did they just think there was just one way they were going to come out? I mean, because you can't use it as an excuse in one hand and say that's a challenge that we don't know what's coming, and then you use it as an excuse after the game and say, "Oh, we didn't see that coming. We didn't know."
No.
Well, you should have at least prepared for multiple.
Right. You
options.
can use an excuse for the first couple of drives and say we adjusted and our adjustment wasn't good enough or whatever. But that's what football is. It's about adjustments, and you didn't adjust to the even front. This is Turner Corcoran talking about Greg Austin's message.
The message after the game is kind of just, we gotta focus on ourselves more than our opponents sometimes. There's a few mistakes that we made up front that, we can't really live with going forward. Whether it's, missing a blocking assignment, missing the point to the linebacker. There's a few things that everyone's got to focus up on. A lot of details that we want to be able to tune in on, especially when it comes to, our blocking.
I guess I had a lot of hope after the last game of the year against Rutgers with Nebraska running it so effectively that would just continue into this year with a better offensive line. I mean, it's another year of experience. It's got to be a better offensive line. Are you a little surprised they didn't run the ball better?
Not necessarily. Again, it was a huge problem last year. So to think that it would magically get better probably wasn't going to happen. And you lost a guy that got drafted. So are you a whole lot better without Brendan Hymas? I'm not sure that you're there quite yet. But again, like the Rutgers game might give you hope. But other than that, there just wasn't a whole lot of games where they were able to run the ball consistently for more than 3 yards a carry.
Second
and
in
the running
conference.
backs,
they were second in the conference, but you're right. It didn't come from the running backs. It came way too much from the
And a lot wasn't coming from the offensive line. A lot of it's the offensive line's inability to pass block, which leads to Martinez running downfield.
That's true.
It's just, I mean, I think out of 8 games last year, 6 times the quarterback led the team in rushing.
Yeah.
We know it was all quarterback rushing last year.
Turner Corcoran, Brent Banks adjusting from guard to tackle.
I definitely think that it was a little bit of a change for Brant, obviously, because he had been playing guard, like you said, in the spring. But he was able to take the adjustment and play into it. There's a lot of things that everyone's got to fix up on, including myself. So moving forward here, we're just focused on ourselves moving forward.
Probably should have played this right off the top when we were talking about it. Being prepared for a different front, odd versus even. They were preparing for an odd front, and Illinois played an even front.
Not at all. We were definitely prepared for a different front, but when that's the beauty of football. Some team can play a certain front and they can completely flip the script on you and play a different front. You just got to adjust on the fly. I thought we did a solid job of preparing for that certain front. It was just that the adjustment that we needed to make up front, the offensive line, we just needed to do better.
Corcoran says they had a good game plan, but focusing on ourselves, I guess, right now.
More than less, not focusing on the opponent, more than less just focusing on ourselves, what we need to get better at, more than less than what we need to plan forward going forward with. We had an amazing game plan going into that game. They didn't play the defense that we had prepared for it, and we just had too many mistakes up front where, like I said, eyes, hands just weren't in the right spot, which led to, us missing a block, us missing whatever it was moving forward. So.
And everybody wants to know what happened to the downhill running game. Corcoran answers that question.
Right. So moving into camp, we had a great run scheme going. We had a great game plan for Illinois, and when during halftime we kind of had to get more with passing. We were down by a score, and then when they started off with the ball and they chewed off 8 minutes of the clock, we kind of had to air the ball out a little bit more and focus on that aspect of the game rather than, like the hat says, run the damn ball. You can't really run the damn ball when you got to play a little bit of catch up. So from that aspect, we just want to be able to do good with the run game early on and be able to establish that part of our game so then we can, if we need to, air it out.
Let's get a couple comments before we go to break and play wingman. From Wyatt Lever, the catch in the end zone that could have made it 14-0. Nebraska, what happened there?
That's one I'd like to have back. I mean, us as receivers, we got to make our quarterback look good. And I feel like, I could have made that play, but again, it's a tough catch and a tough throw. But that's one I wish I could have had back.
Did this loss feel different?
I saw a lot of fight out of the guys today. We cut the music off at practice, so we had to bring our own energy today. And there was a lot of guys hooping and hollering and picking guys up, and the attention to details was just really a focus today, and it felt really good.
What is the message from the offensive coaches?
Of course, there was things we needed to fix. We watched the tape early this morning, got those things behind us, and then move on to the next week. And there was a lot of intensity at practice. We had a great practice today, I'd say, and it was just a good turn-the-page moment today, I would say, all around.
One of the big plays in the game was Wyatt Lever being called for that offensive interference, the pick play.
Yeah.
This is him talking about that play.
Yeah, that's a play we ran all week of practice really well, and it's just something that you gotta make it look like you're running a route, but in your mind you want to get a rub on that guy, so you got to get in his way and then continue to run your route. And it's something that we need to keep working on, and I think we can utilize it a lot more in our offense.
Yeah, basically turn around. I think if he turns around, he might have had a chance to avoid that.
Yeah, he didn't do a good job of making it look like he was running a route. So obviously, like you said, he knows that. So maybe that's something they can work on. But
big play in the game.
He would have tried to sit down on it.
That was Samari Toure going for 30 yards, I believe, down the sidelines, and it was all called back because of that particular play, the interference call. This is Wyatt Lever talking about Oliver Martin.
He's a good dude. I expect him to make a lot of plays like that all season. He can be a guy like that every game for us, and that really just him doing that is a reflection that a lot of us in the receiver room can do that too. So I expect a lot of guys to step up like that.
We'll play one more before we go to break. Wyatt Lever, was this a wake-up call
Yeah, it was really surprising to me, but I mean, it's certainly not the way you want to start your season, but it's gonna look even better when we get this thing turned around and we can look back on that. So
there you go. Positive note going to break. It's a wake-up call.
Yeah, and I think I think that a lot of that, you're saying the right thing and moving forward past that week and really focusing on the small things. That's what's been preached about all offseason, though. So hopefully after a game of maybe preaching about the little things and the little things not getting fixed, you can see, hey, it is a problem. Remember, it still is a problem.
Yeah. Movie Monday on Wingman today. Is it a funny? You can at least tell me what type of movie it is.
Yeah, it's a comedy. I'm going to do it. This is my first acting. So I'm going to just do it really quick. It's going to be like 5 seconds.
5 seconds. But will Nick have a role in this? Or
no, Nick's just going to stand there.
Nick's just going to stand there. Okay. 464-5685. Hopefully you'll get the name of the movie as Bock acts it out on Movie Monday. Your chance to win $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. We'll do it next.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock.
The decision to replace your air conditioner will save or waste money for 15 to 20 years. Bryant offers some of the most efficient ACs available, up to 26 year. Schedule your free estimate at BryantLincoln.com.
Security First Bank. We're the bank, and we make your mortgage more manageable with flexible terms, trusted advice, and competitive rates. When you work with us, we'll know your name, but we'll also get to know your home dreams too. Security First Bank of Lincoln. Voted best small bank in Nebraska by Newsweek magazine. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender. NMLS number 505011.
Welcome to today's episode of The Great Unknowns. Last time we talked about why chickens can't just cross the road in peace. Today's topic is the great unknowns of the future. Like, am I ready for what life throws at me? Well, that answer is easy. Just call a local State Farm agent. State Farm agents will help you plan for the what ifs in life so you know what to expect if the unexpected happens. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krekak, at 402-474-1173.
We take our college football Saturdays so seriously at 93.7 The Ticket that one post-game show simply isn't enough. Join Husker Hall of Famer Jay Foreman and DP for The Ticket postgame. 90 minutes following each Nebraska game at Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. They'll break down the game from their vantage point and bring in special guests as well, with giveaways to listeners who drop by. It's The Ticket postgame with Jay Foreman and DP at Tanner's Bar and Grill. Sponsored by Action Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning and Vinny Krekak of State Farm Insurance. Tailgating wasn't just meant for weekends. Join 93.7 The Ticket every Tuesday at Chick-fil-A for Tailgate Tuesdays. Scan your app with any purchase on Tuesdays and you'll be entered to win a tailgate meal for 15 people. That's chicken nuggets, fresh fruit, and iced tea or lemonade. Winners will be contacted each Wednesday, and you can come see Tom and Bock from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the 48th and O location or at South Point each week. It's Tailgate Tuesdays all season long at Chick-fil-A in Lincoln.
Last year, the average starting pay for an SCC truck driver training program graduate was $44,720. Southeast Community College can now make that a reality in only 8 weeks with its professional truck driver training class starting in October. SCC's fleet of 12 trucks and professional instructors will prepare you for a new career. You'll end the course with your Class A CDL. Learn more about SCC's professional truck driver training class at southeast.edu/truckdriver. SCC, your path to possible.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Where can you get a straightforward loan for a new set of wheels? Liberty First. Liberty First Credit Union looks at things differently. No hidden charges or early prepayment penalties and rates as low as 1.98% APR. Talk to a lender who's here for people, not for profits. People like you. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose. Rates may vary depending on year and miles. Subject to credit approval. Not available for current LFCU loans. See Liberty First Credit Union for details.
Right now in Nebraska, over 150 AmeriCorps members are using their talent and passion to make our communities better. AmeriCorps is all about overcoming the challenges our country faces through compassion and teamwork. And the best part, every AmeriCorps adventure is unique. Find out what AmeriCorps can be for you by starting your own adventure today. Learn more about AmeriCorps programming in Nebraska by checking out Serve Nebraska on social media. Sponsored by Serve Nebraska, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Your home should not be a zoo to unwelcomed animals. Let the experts at Bats to Rats take care of those problems. Dane has been a leader in wildlife and pest management and prevention in Lincoln and the surrounding area for 15 years and can help you get rid of bats, rodents, and anything else. Whether it's residential or commercial buildings, schools, apartments, or churches, they're always a phone call away. Call today at 402-310-0904 or visit batsterats.com. Bats to Rats Wildlife Control and Prevention.
You could close out 2021 winning $2,022 and go on to win $1 million at the beginning of 2022 in the Nebraska Lottery's Powerball's Rockin' 15 promotion. Until September 25th, buy a Powerball with Power Play ticket and enter for a chance to be one of 15 lucky people to win $2,022 and a chance to win $1 million at the start of the new year. It's a promotion that truly rocks. Powerball top prize odds 1 in 292 million.
This is Wingman.
Son, your ego is writing checks your body can't cash. I don't like you because you're dangerous. That's right. You can be my wingman anytime.
Brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings on 93.7 The Ticket.
464-5685. Call right now on the Honda of Lincoln hotline for your chance to win $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings so you can go buy chickens.
Yos.
Yardbirds.
All right. It's Bock's acting debut, so call right now. You don't want to miss this. This is going to be really, really good.
Oh, yeah.
It's short, but I'm hearing very sweet. Nick's not participating in this.
Oh, you just got to stand there.
I'm not participating?
This is apparently just a one-man band.
Why am I here?
Acting debut. You can play the wingman. You
that's what I figured.
I'm kind of confused. I was told about this segment this morning, and I was so how do I typically do this? Just get together with you and rehearse a scene?
Was it supposed to be both of us?
I think it's supposed to be both.
Okay,
of us.
yeah. Then you just tell me what.
Or you could just
who
text
you want
them
me to play.
The lines in the future.
Yeah, who you want me to play, and I can get in character.
But
okay,
I think you just wanted to hog the spotlight, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, I figured I thought of a scene right away. It's pretty easy.
What's new from this guy?
Bock's acting debut on the Ticket. Action.
Okay. Hey guys, big gulps, eh? Nice. Well, see you later.
All right. I think I might have a guess.
Well, yes.
See you later.
Yeah.
Nice.
Turn your radio down.
Dave.
Dave. Hi, Dave. Are you there?
Yes.
All right, Dave. What do you think?
I barely could understand them. So.
That's all right. It'll be quick enough. Let's run it back, Bock.
All right, I'll do it again. Yeah.
Well, that's the nice thing about that line.
You got to pay twice for this.
Yeah, right.
But hey guys, big gulps, huh? Nice. Well, see you later.
Any guesses, Dave?
I have no clue. I need help.
It is Jim Carrey in a comedy.
Okay.
He usually plays in comedies.
Well, that narrows it down a little bit.
I would say Dumb and Dumber would be a decent choice.
Is that what you're going to go with?
Well, I was thinking of that or Liar. But I'll go with Dumb and Dumber.
Is it Dumb and Dumber?
That's it.
That's right.
Nice job, Dave.
Correct.
That's it. Here's the scene.
Hey, guys. Oh, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.
I don't know why, but that's the somewhat iconic scene.
I love Dumb and
Very
Dumber.
good scene.
It was ad-libbed by Jim Carrey. Those guys weren't even extras. They were just hanging around the set. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I did not know
they
that.
pulled them in, and they didn't even plan to have big gulps. Just Jim Carrey decided to say something.
I'm guessing a lot of his lines probably were ad-lib, depending on the movie.
Yeah.
In fact, how could you prevent it when he's in your movie? I mean, Caddyshack, Bill Murray, I think, ad-libbed almost that entire movie. They would kind of set the scene, and then they would just ad-lib.
Yeah, and I think if you wrote lines for him and then just had him ad-lib them, you'd end up going with what they went with. But interesting, Dumb and Dumber is one of my favorite movies. Jim Carrey got paid bank for that compared to Jeff Daniels. Jeff Daniels hardly made anything.
Really?
Yeah.
For two, he probably made something for two, which I never saw.
Those ones were off. Don't watch it. It'll ruin the first one too.
Dumb and Dumber 2
It
is
hurts
bad.
the legacy of it.
Do you have a number of how much Jim Carrey made?
I could look it up here. We can find it here in a second. But he made a lot of money because he was the big pull-in.
Interesting.
But you would just think, because it's Dumb and Dumber, it's the two guys, two leads, that it'd be somewhere close to the same, but it wasn't.
That's crazy. Wow.
How are you?
I'm all right.
Did you have a chance to listen to the entire presser, or did you?
Yes,
not?
I did.
What'd you think?
Well, the first thing that stuck out was that basically once they found out that Illinois was giving them something different than what they planned for, half of their game plan was out the window. He talked about how they started prepping for Illinois early, like we all knew. However, one day in the middle, that's the one day that they planned for any contingencies. And so instantly my thought process on that, and I'll get into this a little bit later, is that if you're starting out earlier, that gives you more time to plan for contingencies rather than just one day. And so that was interesting. The Mario Verduzco on the field now with Adrian and Ryan held up in the box is interesting. You can look at it a couple ways. So there was a couple things there.
Your overall thoughts on Nebraska football? I mean, people are saying it's just a bad move. It's just a movie that we keep seeing over and over and over.
It's frustrating. It's extremely frustrating. You kind of felt it around the city yesterday. Going out, you kind of just felt like nobody was in a too good of a mood. It wasn't sunny or anything, but like. Here's the thing is I just kept thinking about there was no sense of urgency. And especially the drive I keep going back to is the second to last drive where they scored a touchdown and the clock was not on their side. And with a program that you're trying to show the fan base that you're the coach for the job, you're the guy for the job. The 7+ minute drive, granted it did end in 7 points, however, or 6 points because the missed PAT. But at the end of the day, there was no sense. It just felt like they had no sense of urgency. And it's hard to get it behind a team that doesn't have any urgency to do their job.
I hope there is some happiness in the happy hour today.
Yeah, we'll see. A couple
We'll
interesting.
see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Otherwise, it might just depress you.
It might just be the hour today.
It's therapy. By the way, another move. We landed on the moon was ad-libbed apparently.
Oh yeah, that was really good. I did find it. Jim Carrey made $7 million for Dumb and Dumber, and Jeff Daniels made $50,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
because Jeff Daniels was a pretty big star by then.
You would think. I don't think he was.
I thought he
of
had been in some stuff.
$50,000 doesn't say too much.
That doesn't say much at all. Maybe he just wanted to work with Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
The movie made $247 million at the box office, and it's hard to say a movie that made that much had a cult following, but it still does.
Yeah,
it's like I think it's your favorite movie. It's Happer's favorite movie. It's lived on.
Yeah.
But they shouldn't have done a second one. That's for
absolutely
sure.
not.
It's absolutely terrible that they did do a second one.
They said for years that if they were going to do a second one, it would have to be perfect, and it was not perfect.
No, but there are very few sequels. Like Caddyshack 2 was ridiculously
Usually
bad.
sequels are awful.
Almost always. I mean, the only sequel that was probably better than the original is Godfather 2. A lot of people say,
which is frustrating because you feel like when the first movies are done so perfectly, there's like the small parts you like, and you're just like they really know how to put this together. And when they do the second one, you're like they had no clue what they were doing.
Yeah, like
they don't know why it was good the first time.
Hangover 2 shouldn't have been made, should it? Or did you like Hangover 2?
It was all right. It's more of the same. But
yeah, I just think sometimes when you've just done something really well, almost perfection, like Bad News Bears, I love the first one, and none of the others should have been made as well. But that's just me.
How about Alvin and the Chipmunks?
Sure.
Good
Not
call.
sure about
Bock,
the
are
first.
you on that? Are you on the?
I'm not sure about the first or the second one. I don't really care.
Good call. Good call.
Yeah, good take there.
Thanks. I had to
really,
put in my
really
youth.
good take. Alvin, Home Alone 2 was good. Somebody
Oh,
says.
Home Alone 2,
that's a
Lost
good
in New York.
Yeah.
Best one.
Spider-Man 2 was better than Spider-Man 1, Adrian says.
Some of the Rockies
Or
got
Adam
better. Some of the Rockies got way worse.
Yes, yeah, you're right. Like the first one won an Academy Award.
Yeah.
But there were some good Rockies and some really bad Rockies.
Yeah.
When he's 78 years old, still fighting, I don't know. I was kind of done on that.
Yeah.
His body still looked pretty good though. I'm not that I'm looking at
yeah,
that.
if you,
I'm not
sure.
looking. Yeah.
Ooh, Tom.
I hadn't noticed, but
I
yeah.
better get to break. We'll come back with more. Jim Rose, by the way, the voice,
All right.
former voice of the Huskers, a big star in Omaha and radio, and a really good Nebraska football historian. We'll shine some light on what happened on Saturday. We'll do that coming up.
You're listening to Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. 93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Mostly cloudy skies this morning. Should give way to a bit of afternoon sunshine. We'll top out near 83. Winds out of the south at 10 to 15. We will be tracking a chance of thunderstorms by this afternoon into this evening, and the possibility of isolated severe thunderstorms. We'll be looking at a low of 66, a high tomorrow of 83. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Where can you get a straightforward loan for a new set of wheels? Liberty First. Liberty First Credit Union looks at things differently. No hidden charges or early prepayment penalties and rates as low as 1.98% APR. Talk to a lender who's here for people, not for profits. People like you. Liberty First Credit Union. Thinking with purpose. Rates may vary depending on year and miles. Subject to credit approval. Not available for current LFCU loans. See Liberty First Credit Union for details.
Security First Bank. We're the bank, and we make your mortgage more manageable with flexible terms, trusted advice, and competitive rates. When you work with us, we'll know your name, but we'll also get to know your home dreams too. Security First Bank of Lincoln. Voted best small bank in Nebraska by Newsweek magazine. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender. NMLS number 505011.
Need a better job? Looking for a career? Gaina Trucking and Excavating is what you're looking for. They are a rapidly growing company looking for a heavy mechanic. Gaina Trucking and Excavating offers a team culture with lots of benefits, including 401k, health, annual raises, paid vacation, holidays, and much more. It's a great career opportunity. Want to love what you do? Join the Gaina Trucking team. Apply online at www.gainatrucking.com. That's www.gainatrucking.com.
Experiencing increased body fat, low sex drive, lack of energy, or general fatigue? Vitalize Health offers testosterone replacement therapy and peptide therapy to boost hormone levels and build muscle mass. Call Vitalize Health today at 402-413-0717 or go online to vitalizehealthne.com.
Tailgating wasn't just meant for weekends. Join 93.7 The Ticket every Tuesday at Chick-fil-A for Tailgate Tuesdays. Scan your app with any purchase on Tuesdays and you'll be entered to win a tailgate meal for 15 people. That's chicken nuggets, fresh fruit, and iced tea or lemonade. Winners will be contacted each Wednesday, and you can come see Tom and Bock from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the 48th and O location or at South Point each week. It's Tailgate Tuesdays all season long at Chick-fil-A in Lincoln.
Last year, the average starting pay for an SCC truck driver training program graduate was $44,720. Southeast Community College can now make that a reality in only 8 weeks with its professional truck driver training class starting in October. SCC's fleet of 12 trucks and professional instructors will prepare you for a new career. You'll end the course with your Class A CDL. Learn more about SCC's professional truck driver training class at southeast.edu/truckdriver. SCC, your path to possible.
We take our college football Saturdays so seriously at 93.7 The Ticket that one post-game show simply isn't enough. Join Husker Hall of Famer Jay Foreman and DP for the Ticket postgame. 90 minutes following each Nebraska game at Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. They'll break down the game from their vantage point and bring in special guests as well, with giveaways to listeners who drop by. It's the Ticket postgame with Jay Foreman and DP at Tanner's Bar and Grill. Sponsored by Action Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning and Vinnie Kreekak of State Farm Insurance. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is Tom and Bock, coming at you live from Coppel Chevrolet GMC Studios in the heart of Lincoln, America, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Tom Stevens.
I always tell people, I just hope they see a guy that loves what he does.
Jake Bockoven.
I didn't get any stupider, I know that. I have never been very smart.
Tom and Bock starts now.
Hour number 3, Tom and Bock. I'm Tom Stevens. He's Jake Bockoven. Jim Rose, former voice of the Huskers, will join us within the next 10 minutes. Scott Frost did speak at the Monday presser today, and we'll try to give you some of his thoughts. We'll just jump right into it here. Scott Frost talking about bad throws from Adrian. Were they tough throws?
No, I don't think so. When you watch the tape, there are some unbelievable throws Adrian made, sometimes with too much pressure standing right on top of him. So we got to make sure he's cleaner to make the throws that we've been seeing him make all spring, all fall. He missed two. But when we get layups, we can't miss them.
Gabe Ervin got the start at running back. How did he do? And all the running backs?
Yeah, he's come in and done a great job being a veteran, acting like a veteran. He and Step had the best week and a half of preparation leading into the game, and they deserve to play. Ramir Johnson's done a really good job. When we got into kind of 2-minute and throwing mode, we wanted somebody in there that was a little bit of threat in the pass game. And every week at certain positions, there's going to be competition, and guys that practice the best are going to get more time.
Scott Frost saying the film review effort was really great. Got to do stuff better though.
Yeah, pretty much what we thought. I thought the effort was outstanding. You can't find anybody loafing. The guys played really hard. We got to do a few things better, and then we had just a few kind of catastrophic plays that changed the whole game.
How often does a game plan get thrown out? Of course, we knew that Illinois expected to run an odd front. They run an even front. How often does that happen?
Not very often. Not very often. And I told you, we kind of turned our attention to these guys a little earlier than normal to really get dialed in on a game plan. Now we took a day in the middle of that and practice for contingencies and other things they might do. And so the guys knew what they were doing and prepared, but certainly some of the schematic things that we had planned for them weren't there because of what we got.
Frost saying Illinois sacks, and I think they had 5 of them, just because you didn't protect the quarterback well enough.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a lot of things. I didn't think we protected well enough. That's one of the things that we were drilled down on today and talked to the guys about. And they did a good job. I give it to them. There were some twists in games that are tough to pick up that we didn't. But in general, we got to have more time for our quarterback to throw.
Bouncing around here, back to the thought of the even front versus the odd front that Nebraska faced against Illinois. Is it rare what Illinois was showing?
Not rare, just not. We weren't expecting it. A lot of people play, wide 5s, wide 9s. We had prepared some for that look. We had prepared for the contingency that they might do that, but certainly not what we were expecting.
Wyatt Lever and Oliver Martin played pretty much the entire game. What's the wide receiver room look like in general?
We have multiple receivers that I think can go in and function and play and make plays, and quite a few made plays on Saturday. I think we need to rotate them even more. Toward the end of the game, we could have kept some fresh guys on the field because we have a lot of guys ready to play. Those 2 guys have been extremely consistent, haven't missed any time. So as those guys are all competing, I think it was just consistency that put them a little bit ahead.
Need consistency to get those young guys like Xavier Betts on the field?
Not really. I want our team to understand, and I think they do, that if they're going to play a lot of snaps or as many reps as they want to, they need to practice well all week and show us that they're prepared. There are certain guys I think we planned on playing more and I wish would have played more, and some others that need to step it up and practice well during the week to earn the playing time.
Going back to preparedness and the look from Illinois that they saw, the offensive line, they weren't prepared for the Illinois look?
Yeah. I give them credit. We watched a lot of tape on them, tried to give our best guess to what they were going to do. They played an entire spring game in odd and came out and played an even with wide 9s and 5s, and we just hadn't had as many reps at that. So that had a little bit to do with it. But hey, we got to be better. We got to establish run. We got to be ahead in the game so we can commit to the run. When you get behind in a game, then you're forced to do a few more things, and there are a lot of factors that led to that.
That is not nothing. That Nebraska saw a team in Illinois that did their spring game and came out in an odd front, and then completely changed that look for the very first game of the season. And maybe it would be different had it been Lovie Smith and he's back and he's just trying something new in the cover 2 or a new look. But that is something.
Yeah, and it's frustrating. It's going to get a lot of play today. Is that they didn't seem to, maybe just didn't prepare for it enough, and maybe build too much of their game plan around it for a game that they knew was going to be this critical. But you got to fight. You only get so many practices to prepare your team. Are you preparing your team for the season, or you're preparing them for game one? And I think clearly after watching the game, they should have prepared a little bit more for game one, for an opportunity, the chance that they're going to see something different. But how about that for Illinois? Their off-season tactics worked. Their spring game tricked Nebraska.
Yep. They for sure worked. They won the game. Frost talking about the punters and the special teams in general.
Both punters have been doing exceptionally well in practice. His first effort, I expected to get a lot better. Probably some nerves and things there, but there's a lot of hidden yardage. They got a couple punts and pinned us, and we had chances to do it and didn't. We put a lot of emphasis on special teams. Thought the coverage units did a really good job. Made the one critical error on punt return and did what we weren't trained to do and coached to do, and got a punt a little better, and then obviously missed 2 extra points. Those are some of the mistakes we can't have happen.
Frost talking about Caleb Tanner's hit, the big hit that, of course, caused a 30-yard penalty. Nebraska had just intercepted the ball. This is Scott Frost talking about the Tanner hit.
Yeah, all I saw during the game was the bang play of him hitting the quarterback right as he was throwing it. He's got to be smart and not bury him into the turf. I assume that's what they called. That play right there was probably the biggest play in the game. Caleb's been playing wonderful all fall. I thought his level of play in that game was good, but there's critical moments where you got to make a snap decision and a smart decision and a decision that's best for your team. There was a few times in that game that we didn't, and those mistakes really cost us.
One more here for you before we get to Jim Rose. Scott Frost talking about his the trust between the quarterback and the wide receivers.
Well, you got to earn trust in anything you do. I think there's a lot of guys Adrian trusts right now. Some have been at every practice, and some have missed a little time, and certainly consistency helps. But we got enough guys out there to keep fresh guys on the field, and everybody's got to know what they're doing, and we should be able to have some receivers with juice out there all the time.
Your overall reaction to the Scott Frost presser today?
Well, again, I think the overall tone with the players and Scott Frost is to try to stay positive. But like somebody's pointing out on the text line, it's mostly just a lot of acknowledging that he got out coached. I mean, there's different ways of saying it, but and that's maybe that's good to do at this point in time. Just kind of acknowledge some of the mistakes, take the loss for your players, protect your players, and continue to encourage them. And I think that's the path he's taken. I think that's probably the right way to go.
Yeah, he at least sounded calmer than he has in the past. He up until
no body language to report.
Yeah, there's no body language to report on Scott Frost on that particular one. I mean, we talked a lot last week about 5-minute press conferences and 3-minute press conferences, and how anxious he sounded, and he just wanted to get in and get out, and he was more like Bill Belichick. But I thought that at least the tone is the tone he should have taken.
Yeah, it's and there's just not a whole lot you could say. You can't come in and say something magically that's going to make us all feel better about where the program is, or anything after that loss. It is what it is, and to a degree, you can say that you did everything right. It was just a few plays that bit you. But man, the fact that they happen every game, for one, and then the other thing is, I don't know if everything else is going according to plan. You didn't score anything. I mean, you might not have had too many turnovers. You didn't score anything in the first quarter. You didn't have one quarter over 10 with double-digit points. That's not. I mean, you're ended up with 22, so it's not surprising. But you're not getting it done on all the plays except for the 3 or 4 that you want to say are mistakes. You need to work on getting better at those other plays as well.
Yep. 464-5685, the Sutter Heyman text line. That same number for the Honda of Lincoln hotline. This off the text line. How many spring and fall practices do they have? I understand being surprised, but there is no excuse for not being able to adjust. What do you think?
Yeah, and saying that they, kind of had one day where they prepared for that stuff. I've seen other quotes about, having to throw out about 50% of the game plan just once they came out in that different front than what they expected. It's just, again, I mean, there's not too many different ways of saying it. It's frustrating, and it's getting out coached. It's getting out schemed. The old off-season dance of not releasing depth charts and maybe throwing different things in spring games. Brett Bielema won, and then he went on and like we said, had his plan to let Nebraska beat themselves. It happened. So he won the game too. So, I mean, there's no way of painting it any other way.
And in game one, it seemed like Illinois had more of an identity than Nebraska did. They stuck to a simple.
They hired an identity, though. That's part of the part of the deal.
Well, we thought Nebraska had hired an identity as well.
They did.
And thought that they would be.
It's not a good one.
No.
And now he's had to try to find something else.
They thought they were getting is the coach from UCF and the offensive coordinator from Oregon,
right?
That was going to go up and down the field and not worry about things that we see all the time. Turnovers, who cares? We're going to score 50 points.
Yeah,
we're going to turn the ball over occasionally, but we're going to be up and down the field, and it's going to be fun to watch. And special teams, who needs a kicker when you're scoring 50 points a game? We'll just go for 2 all the time.
Yeah,
punter, we won't need a punter. And then you get in this league, and I really think it was kind of an afterthought. And all the things that you have to do to win in this league, take care of the ball, run the football, stop the run, be a smart, sound, fundamentally sound, are just not happening.
Well, and just to go back to that identity thing, that might be something that Scott Frost is always playing catch up, is because they have realized they have to be more physical. They need bigger, stronger players. But now that you're in year 4, and you're years behind where Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota are. They've been recruiting to that philosophy, to that identity for years. Like I said, Illinois walks in with that identity, and it's an identity that you don't need necessarily the most skill. You just need to, sometimes try to have that kind of mentality to be the bigger bully. And it's not going to work every game. It's like a lot of times you're going to look like pretty slow against Ohio States of the world and stuff. So it's not perfect, but it is something that, again, if you want to try to meddle into now being a bigger and physical and tougher, and to recruit there after a few years of trying to figure it out, you're behind the 8 ball of what everybody else has been doing.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. They hired an identity when talking about Illinois, and they're patient to it. I mean, they stayed patient to who they are, and I think that's going to be who they try to be, not just in that game, but going forward. 464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Hi, Chris.
Hey, guys. Yeah, it's crazy. I never did understand the line on the game. I mean, I don't know how we became 4 touchdowns better from last November than Illinois, who just destroyed us last year. I didn't understand how they gave us originally 9.5 point favorite or whatever, but I mean, I kind of figured it was a coin toss game the whole time. Was it? I mean, I don't think anybody on the network here had Illinois winning.
Nope, nobody did. Nobody did.
But yeah, and I thought I remember hearing that a week into fall camp, the first week they didn't practice special teams. I thought I heard that on one of the sports talk shows.
Yeah.
And which was already a red flag, and we know who Adrian is. I mean, I don't think we need to go over it anymore. This is who Adrian is. This is what Adrian does.
Yeah.
And if we want to, he's got a 5-game ceiling for wins. That's what we know. If we want to win more than 5 games, then we've got to move on.
Yeah. Thanks.
Because heck, he'll play next year. I mean, he's not going pro. He'll get paid to come back next year, and he'll get NIL stuff next year, and he'll play again if we let him.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate the call. 464-5685. Got to get to our conversation with Jim Rose, former voice of Husker football, a great Husker historian. Hi, Jim. How are you?
Hey, fellas. How you doing?
Good. The text line's not the happiest that I've ever seen. You talk to a lot of fans via your job at KFAB in Omaha. What's your feeling? Because Tom Chattel wrote that it's more anger. It used to be more anger, and now maybe not as much. Maybe people are just kind of done with it all. What do you think?
Well, I think he's on to something. I think that the anger, the resentment, the emotion is not what it was when we first started experiencing this stuff. And I think after a while, you just sort of get numb to it, and you're pretty introspective about it. You say, look, you know what? I guess not today. Maybe next week. Maybe I'll be around for it. Maybe I won't be. But I think, we're in a different place with fans. I think we're in a different place with the entire Husker national brand. And expectations are beginning to lower a little bit. And if you lower them far enough, and I'm saying that from a fan perspective, not necessarily from the coaches or players, if you lower them far enough, you don't have anything. Yeah. And that means people are extremely passive about it. And that's not a place you want to go to.
And of course, after the game, we heard a lot about this being the same movie. It kind of looked like the same type of mistakes that Nebraska did that usually comes back to bite them. That was game one. Things can change over the course of a season. How much do you believe that things could change and that Nebraska could right this ship? It's just 1 week.
It's a great question. I don't really think the next two games are going to be much of a measuring stick. With all due respect to Fordham, that is barely a Division I program. And Buffalo, I can tell you that if Lance Leipold had not taken the job at Kansas and with him their 10 best players, I would be very worried about Buffalo. Yeah. But I'm not as worried about Buffalo. Not because it's not a program that can't play well, but when you lose that much from season to season in the MAC, it tends to drop off pretty quickly. I think the next two games are more about, guys, we've got to get back to doing things properly for a whole game and then see what happens against OU. But the real stretch, the determining stretch, I think, for Nebraska football, and this is no revelation, is going to come for those 3 weeks after the OU game.
Jim Rose, former voice of Husker football. Some of the comments that came out after the game, a little unusual. Scott Frost says, sometimes it feels like we're snake bit. All the things that can go wrong at the right time seem to go wrong. He also explained, their inability to run the football outside of the quarterback position, even versus odd front. They said they guessed odd, and they came out in an even front. What's this sound like to you? It certainly doesn't sound like something that Tom Osborne might say.
Yeah, it was very candid, and I was really impressed with how candid Scott was about it. You typically won't hear that out of the coach, but I don't think he's in this spin mode. I think he's in the guys you saw it mode, and it looked the same to me as it did to you. As far as the breaks go, snake bit, I don't believe that. I used to believe that Oklahoma cursed us, Tom.
Yeah.
That there was some sort of a curse. Well, the curse was they just had a lot better players.
Yeah.
And I don't believe teams are snake bit. I think you make your own luck. And I think if you add it up at the end of the year, it may not seem that way at the time, but if you add it up at the end of the year, you're going to get as many breaks in your favor as against you. And I mean, how much you talk about a bad break or two, how many teams with a brand new coaching staff in the first game can lose their starting quarterback after the first couple of series and still win? So, I mean, what happens if Nebraska loses its starting quarterback to a shoulder injury on the second series?
Right.
I mean, that's what I mean. I'm not really into that, and I don't think Scott's using that as an excuse. I think he just thinks we can't get a break.
Yeah.
Sometimes you make your own breaks, or maybe sometimes the negative breaks come against you in bunches.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting as we turn our attention toward week one, I guess game 2 here against Fordham. The talk has kind of shifted toward the attendance. And if you can get that sellout, of course, it's the last big record that Nebraska has. You expect things to go fine on the field, I guess, like you said, Fordham, a Division I opponent. But how big of a deal do you think it would be if the sellout streak does indeed end this Saturday?
Well, I'm anxious to see how it's presented. Let's say the sellout streak ends. Let's say they didn't sell all the tickets. How do they position that? What do they say? What does Trev say about it? How does he look at it like we're going to hide this? We're going to keep this from public view because it is kind of embarrassing. It would be embarrassing to Scott. Or are they going to come out and say, I promised transparency. I promised that I would level with the Nebraska fans. Well, I'm leveling with you right now. The sellout should come to an end, and we'll take that and salute all of the great fans who for 60 years have filled this place. So I don't know how it will be presented. I will say this, though, guys. Let's say it isn't a sellout. Let's say there are 5,000 or 6,000 tickets still left available. and let's say 25 or 30,000 Nebraska fans decide, you know what, I don't want to wear a mask. It's Fordham. It's 11 o'clock in the morning. We got beat by Illinois, and I'm going to stay home. And then you're looking at 30 or 40,000 empty seats. That is a picture we don't want to see.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm imploring all Husker fans, if you've got a ticket, go. I'm coming.
Right.
We're coming, because I don't want to be part of that. I don't want to be the guy that bought tickets and stayed home. I think that would be much worse than any declaration that there is no sellout streak anymore.
Hey, Jim, there's a certain segment of the fan base that say, we've tried everything. We've gone West Coast with Bill Callahan. We've tried the old school with Mike Riley. Bo Pelini worked for a while. But if this doesn't work, it's never going to work for Husker football. Are you in that camp? How do you feel about that?
Absolutely not, Tom. That's ridiculous. Everybody wants Scott to work out. Everybody wants Scott to get it done here. Everybody was thrilled when he got the call, and I still am. But if you sober up and you look at reality, and if it doesn't work out, if things don't progress to where they need to, and either Scott elects to leave or he's decided to leave, to suggest that nobody out there can coach this team to wins is insane. There is a Bill Snyder out there. Urban Meyer wasn't Urban Meyer until he became Urban Meyer. Nick Saban wasn't Nick Saban until he became Nick Saban. The coach at Iowa State is one of the best in the country, and he's at Iowa State. The idea that, wait a minute, hold on, if this doesn't work, let's just turn the stadium into a gigantic flea market is insane. Of course there is. There are great coaches across college football, and great coaches would crawl over cut glass to come here. But in my view, that's just silly talk. The idea that this regime needs to end, I don't believe. I think Scott deserves the opportunity to continue to self-evaluate, continue to evaluate his staff, and with the help of his new athletics director, for whom I have unbelievable confidence, indescribable confidence, I think they'll progress, and changes for the better will be made if necessary.
Yeah.
But the idea that if it's not Scott, it's nobody, that's
I completely agree with you. A lot of the talk after the game, of course, about Scott Frost and his head coaching so far at Nebraska, and then of course there's a lot of talk about Adrian Martinez and how his quarterback play was. I think we saw kind of similar to what we've seen throughout Adrian's career. He can have big plays, he can have big plays for the other team, but ultimately a pretty solid game, I guess, from him again today. But the argument throughout his career has been, does he have enough help? When you watched on Saturday, do you believe that they've improved the help around Adrian Martinez this year?
Well, I think so. We saw him throw the ball with some effectiveness. We saw him throw the ball without any. What worries me, guys, and again, I'm speaking as Jim Rose, the fan. This is the world according to Rosie, which should be entered in with great caution and trepidation. The truth is, I believe in a power running game. I think we should be running the ball 50 times a game. Because if it's 3 yards in the first quarter, it'll be 4 yards in the second and third quarters, and it'll be 5 and 6 yards in the fourth quarter. And in this conference, I just believe that's what we should be doing. Now, if Scott came to me and said, Rosie, you get to decide what our offense is, that's what I'm doing. But, Xavier Betts is a very talented guy. I think Omar Manning is a very talented guy. These tight ends are pretty good. At least I think they are. I sure think Austin Allen has the capacity. So it's about getting the ball to them. And that's the responsibility of the quarterback and the coaching staff. What are we doing, to get the ball into the hands of these playmakers? And, this line is pretty veteran. Yeah, there's some youth there, but boy, they're talented guys. They did not have the world's greatest game. I don't think Ethan Piper had a perfect game. You saw the Cam snap one over Adrian's head again. I think Brett Banks had some issues that were addressed in the second half, and we didn't see him as much in the second half. So did the line have a great game? I don't know. I just believe that we need to run the football, and I just think that's what we want to hang our hat on. what is Nebraska's offensive identity?
Yeah.
And if you and me, if the three of us are asking that question, what are the players asking when they show up for practice?
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we going to do on Saturday that for sure will work?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you could look at Illinois, despite the fact they're a brand new staff there, brand new organization. They kind of looked like they had an identity, and it was game one for a new coach.
He's good.
Yeah.
His staff is proven. They've been in Power 5 conferences. But I think they're going to run the ball this year, and they're probably going to be more successful if they try to throw it downfield.
Yep. Great stuff, Rose. We appreciate it, Jimmy. Thanks for the time.
Guys, it's always a pleasure, and have yourselves a wonderful day.
Yep. We'll catch up to you soon. Jim Rose, former voice of Husker football, now at KFAB, and really knows Husker like trivia, like at the wazoo. I mean, he's a historian at its finest. Let's get to break and come back with more. Stephen M. Sipple is here.
There we go.
Hey, he was at the presser. We'll talk to him next.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock.
Security First Bank. We're the bank, and we make your mortgage more manageable with flexible terms, trusted advice, and competitive rates. When you work with us, we'll know your name, but we'll also get to know your home dreams too. Security First Bank of Lincoln. Voted best small bank in Nebraska by Newsweek magazine. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender. NMLS number 505011.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank. A relationship you can count on.
Mostly cloudy skies this morning should give way to a bit of afternoon sunshine. We'll top out near 83. Winds out of the south at 10 to 15. We will be tracking a chance of thunderstorms by this afternoon into this evening, and the possibility of isolated severe thunderstorms. We'll be looking at a low of 66, a high tomorrow of 83. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Where will you go next? The Southeast Community College Fall 2021 Continuing Education schedule of classes is arriving in your mailbox. Take a class in leadership and professional development, like real estate license prep, business courses like accounting and financials, or building a business plan, or 19 pages of personal interest classes like dog grooming, making jewelry, or even charcuterie. The entire schedule is online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
We take our college football Saturdays so seriously at 93.7 The Ticket that one post-game show simply isn't enough. Join Husker Hall of Famer Jay Foreman and DP for the Ticket postgame. 90 minutes following each Nebraska game at Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. They'll break down the game from their vantage point and bring in special guests as well, with giveaways to listeners who drop by. It's the Ticket postgame with Jay Foreman and DP at Tanner's Bar and Grill. Sponsored by Action Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning and Vinny Kreekak of State Farm Insurance.
Now that Ken Richards has purchased Broker's Agency, he and his professional staff will continue to provide their clients with the same excellent service under the Broker's Insurance Agency name. Broker's Insurance Agency works with more than 15 companies to help find the best policy for you to avoid any long hassles. Also, if you're looking to get into the insurance business as an independent agent, they have the formula to make that process smooth and successful. Call Ken with Broker's Insurance Agency today at 402-420-5353 or visit brokersinsuranceNE.com.
Ready for this?
1, 2, 3, up.
At Madonna Rehabilitation Hospitals, we help rebuild the lives of people who've experienced traumatic illness and injury. With clinical expertise, cutting-edge research, and innovative technology, Madonna delivers world-class rehabilitation for adults and children. We restore hope one step, one word, and one breakthrough at a time, so our patients and their families can have confidence when we tell them, now you can. Learn more at Madonna.org.
Everyone loves a good deal, and there's plenty of great options right now at Brown Shoe Fit for their summer clearance sale. Check out their multiple sizes and widths in sandals with brands like Clark's, Keen, Atrex, and many more. Hurry in for the best selection because this sale only goes to the end of the month. It's the summer clearance sale at Brown Shoe Fit, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
It's Supreme Spa and Pool's huge Labor Day sale. Save now, save big. Above ground pools from $29.99. Stealth, the world's strongest semi-in-ground pool with a lifetime transferable warranty from $69.99. Book now. In-ground pool packages from $29.99. Installed this year. Cash and carry spas from $39.99. Ready for immediate pickup with a free water care kit. Labor Day sale savings at Supreme Spa and Pool.com.
Tailgating wasn't just meant for weekends. Join 93.7 The Ticket every Tuesday at Chick-fil-A for Tailgate Tuesdays. Scan your app with any purchase on Tuesdays and you'll be entered to win a tailgate meal for 15 people. That's chicken nuggets, fresh fruit, and iced tea or lemonade. Winners will be contacted each Wednesday, and you can come see Tom and Bock from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the 48th and O location or at South Point each week. It's Tailgate Tuesdays all season long at Chick-fil-A in Lincoln. You're listening to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Stephen M. Sipple just getting back from the presser. Somebody wants me to ask you this, Sip. Sipple's cousin says, give Sip props for pressing Frost on Xavier Betts. What was happening there? Did you press him on Xavier Betts?
No, I wouldn't say I pressed him. I just asked him, why he wasn't playing. He didn't play it. He didn't play a single snap. Hi, Tom. By the way,
there.
Bock. How are you guys doing?
Good. We're good.
Good. Yeah, I just asked him. Xavier Betts didn't play a single snap on offense, which makes your mind wonder. I mean, he could be a critical player on that team. And Scott had a good answer. I mean, he praised Xavier and says, he's a talented kid and that he is valuable, but he's got to be consistent. It's a matter of consistency and being reliable and trustworthy. And you know what? There's different ways you can try to draw that out of guys. You can just give them, for instance, a receiver. You can just make him part of a package and say, look, we don't trust you to run the whole offense, but we can give you a package. Or you can just say no. I mean, if you can't, we're not going to play you if we can't trust you on a daily basis. And I think that I believe that's good coaching. I like that. I mean, I don't mind a hardline approach to guys who don't show up ready to work every day. And that's it. I mean, there's some guys on the team that they're obviously not showing up to work every day like you have to. In this league, that won't cut it.
When you watched that game, Nebraska and Illinois, did you see a talent edge for Nebraska?
No, I didn't. I'm surprised when people try to say that. I know what the recruiting rankings say and all that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. But no, when I watched them warm up, I watched Nebraska warm up, and I watched Illinois, and you just look for size, speed. You're trying to judge body type a little bit. I was struck by Illinois, how good Illinois looks. They're not a bad team. They look like a Big Ten football team. And then I immediately thought, I was walking off the field and thought, that was a joke that I picked Nebraska by 20. I was like, that's a terrible pick based on what, you can listen. It's not like I can go down and size up teams and warm ups and determine a winner. It wasn't just that. I mean, there was a lot of information through the course of August. But I mean, it does, that's one talking point, or that's one component to sizing them up. And Illinois looks, I don't know, maybe people would be surprised, but they look like a pretty good Big Ten team to me. So that there's that. And if you watch the game, I don't think you could come to the conclusion that Nebraska had a big talent edge.
No.
There's at least one staff member I've talked to that said that we didn't have a talent edge. So, I think it's important to point that out. But you
wonder how much of that has to do with maybe the talent. You asked the question about Xavier Betts. I think he's one of the best wide receivers talent-wise that they have. And I've heard that similar stories about Savion Morrison. Neither of those guys played in Saturday's game. And, we've gone back to the question, where was Alante Brown? Why wasn't Omar Manning on the field last year? And he wasn't on the field much again on Saturday. So some of it has to do with development, and some of it has to do with you apparently can't get all of these guys ready that you want to get ready.
Well, some of, like a guy like Savion Morrison's a young guy.
Yeah.
But
they're all young at running back. They're all young.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind that. He got beat out. I mean, I just think he got beat out. Scott said today that Gabe Irvin and Marquise Stepp had the best last week and a half of practice.
Mm-hmm.
So, those guys rose to the top when it mattered most as the game neared, and they won the job.
Yeah.
You're not always going to play three. I was a little surprised to see Ramir Johnson in there ahead of Savion Morrison, but Ramir's a little probably better in the passing game, and they were in that mode. So that makes sense. I understand what you're saying, but it's hard for me to criticize when I don't see practice and I don't see what's going on in practice.
That's fair.
So I in some ways you have to kind of trust your coaching staff.
And that trust in the coaching staff, at least for the fans, is starting to take a hit, obviously, as the losses pile up. But I think a lot's going to be made about the kind of talk about how not being ready for Illinois' defensive front that they brought in. It sounded like they kind of prepared for one way, and then as soon as Illinois gave them a different look, I think Frost said they had to throw out much of their game plan. Do you think that there should be more of a plan B going into a game like that?
Well, Bock. What Frost said was interesting. He said literally they had to throw out half the game plan. And I asked him how often does that happen? And he said not very often. Now, I would have loved to have been on the headsets and heard to hear what that sounded like. Was there guys raising their voices? Was it calm? Was there some panic? Who was it that was leading the charge? You hope it was Frost, but I'm sure it was very unsettling. I mean, I've talked to Osborne about that before. Osborne has talked about how they had an inherent advantage when Tom was the coach because they had such a veteran staff. And he said when they would get in a situation like that, we've talked about this in the past, and Tom would say, when a situation like that arose, there was always at least one staff member who had seen the look and knew what to do.
Yeah.
If it wasn't Tom, it was Milt. If it wasn't Milt, maybe it was Frank.
Yeah.
If it wasn't Frank, maybe it was Ron. I mean, those guys had been together so long. That's where continuity really comes in play. That's where age really comes in play. So yeah, the fact that they had to throw out half the game plan is remarkable, and give Illinois credit.
Yeah.
Illinois played something in the spring game, and then they played something exactly different in the game. And I bet that was the plan. I mean, these guys are savvy guys that rise to this level as coach. And I bet the idea was, all right, we're going to show this in the spring game when it doesn't matter at all, and we'll show something different in the opener.
Yeah, and
then look what happened.
Yeah.
It waylaid Nebraska clearly.
Yeah,
I mean, clearly by the comments that it did have a dramatic effect on Nebraska.
What do you make of the comment from Brett Bielema that they were only concerned about number 2 and nobody else could beat them?
Well, first of all, as the great defender of number 2, I'm very proud.
Nice answer. Good one.
Adrian's a talented guy. Now here's what I make of it. Adrian is fast. All right. Adrian is twitchy. Adrian is a great athlete, and they don't have a lot of speed on that offense. I mean, that's the two things, my two biggest takeaways from the offense, or I'll give you 3, is Adrian's accuracy. Now, I can't defend his accuracy. And when you throw a ball 4 foot over if you throw a ball 3 feet, 4 feet over the head of a 6'5" tight end. I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he airmailed that ball to Hickman, and it was, my mouth was agape.
Yeah.
How does that throw go that high? I mean, now, but my other two big takeaways on offense were, man, there's a glaring lack of speed at the receiver positions and running back. There's just a glaring lack of speed. Not so much. I mean, I'm not so worried about it running back as I am at receiver.
Yeah.
Glaring. And then the big thing is that what everybody's talking about was the offensive line. I think the biggest problem I saw on Saturday was they could not get anything going up front.
Yeah.
And that's trouble.
And of course, one of the big storylines was something Frost said. It looked like the same old movie or whatever. And part of that has to do with what you're talking about. I mean, that for much of Frost's career here, Adrian Martinez seems to be the one guy to worry about. How much do you expect things like that to change if, like what you're saying, you didn't necessarily see it from the speed element in game one?
Well, I mean, I think that's one of the burning questions. Think about it. You just got to put yourself in Frost's shoes, put yourself in Matt Lubick's shoes. If you have limited answers, come on. I mean, what are we talking about? We're not talking about, we're talking about one of the best defensive leagues, one of the top 2 defensive leagues in the country, probably, right?
Yeah.
This is, and I think most people, I think most people are like me. I think it's the best coaching conference in the country. Okay. All right. So now you're going into every game with an offensive line that's, I don't know how it's going to be. It didn't, the first impression wasn't good, and you don't have a lot of speed.
Yeah.
I mean, so now as a play caller, look, I mean, that all I would say about it is that I imagine it creates a high degree of stress.
Yeah. You just don't see a ton of guys with the explosiveness. I mean, I didn't see a lot of separation. Maybe I'm defending Adrian a little too much, but I didn't see a lot of receivers just running crazy free. Yeah, he missed some throws that probably cost them the game. But it wasn't like Nebraska had a huge athletic advantage. Good stuff, Steve. Appreciate the time.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have a good day, both of you.
There you go. Steve Sipple of the Lincoln Journal-Star. Let's get to break and eat the leftovers to round up the show next.
You're listening to Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Early break with Sip and Jake.
I wanted to see a team that was pissed, that was urgent, and I saw that from the get-go from the defense. Man, they look good. The defense was getting in the backfield right away. Those first couple drives, oh my gosh. Man. And then it just stopped. I said, this can't be a couple drives. It's got to be a full 60 minutes. If you are going to tell me, Cam Taylor-Britt, on Monday that this is your Super Bowl for the year, I better see 60 minutes of hell out there. Fire. I didn't see it.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning.
Right now in Nebraska, over 150 AmeriCorps members are using their talent and passion to make our communities better. AmeriCorps is all about overcoming the challenges our country faces through compassion and teamwork. And the best part, every AmeriCorps adventure is unique. Find out what AmeriCorps can be for you by starting your own adventure today. Learn more about AmeriCorps programming in Nebraska by checking out Serve Nebraska on social media. Sponsored by Serve Nebraska, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, this is Kurt, your shop manager at A1 Automotive here in downtown Lincoln. My promise to you is this: you won't find another automotive repair facility that genuinely cares about you and your vehicle. Our service is outstanding and our customer service is better. Please give me a call for all your automotive repair questions and needs. Call me at 402-477-4660. We were built on small town values, and that shows in how we treat others. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Ready for this?
1, 2, 3, up.
At Madonna Rehabilitation Hospitals, we help rebuild the lives of people who've experienced traumatic illness and injury. With clinical expertise, cutting-edge research, and innovative technology, Madonna delivers world-class rehabilitation for adults and children. We restore hope one step, one word, and one breakthrough at a time, so our patients and their families can have confidence when we tell them, now you can. Learn more at Madonna.org.
Now that Ken Richards has purchased Broker's Agency, he and his professional staff will continue to provide their clients with the same excellent service under under the Brokers Insurance Agency name. Brokers Insurance Agency works with more than 15 companies to help find the best policy for you to avoid any long hassles. Also, if you're looking to get into the insurance business as an independent agent, they have the formula to make that process smooth and successful. Call Ken with Brokers Insurance Agency today at 402-420-5353 or visit brokersinsurancenE.com.
Mike Schaefer here with 5-star child care provider Lee Beecher from Bubbles and Blocks. Let's start with what makes Bubbles and Blocks special.
We have 3 beautiful locations in Lincoln that provide the safety, security, and reliability you need while also bringing a family feel to each classroom at every location.
I also hear some congratulations are in order.
Thank you. Yes, we just won the Lincoln Choice Award for Best Daycare and Preschool for the 3rd year in a row.
What should people do if they want to join the Bubbles and Blocks family?
Call to set up a tour to enroll your child today, or you can visit bubblesandblocks.com to apply to join our team.
At Koppel, you can shop online for the most affordable crossovers, SUVs, cars, and trucks. They have new Chevrolet and GMC or used inventory, all at your fingertips. Hi, I'm Sean Callahan, and before I got my car at Koppel, I shopped online at koppelcars.com. I found a vehicle I liked, then I drove that money-saving mile to Koppel in Louisville. You should too. It was just minutes from I-80 or at koppelcars.com.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill has been your go-to in South Lincoln for years, and their second location in downtown Lincoln is now open. Rosie's downtown spot is Lincoln's premier Nebraska party bar with the sidetrack band every Friday night of home games and all day for Nebraska home football games. With 34 TVs that are 65 inches or bigger, you'll always have a great view for all the games. Make sure to check out the new Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, now open in downtown Lincoln at 10th and P.
Everyone loves a good deal, and there's plenty of great options right now at Brown Shoe Fit for their summer clearance sale. Check out their multiple sizes and widths and sandals with brands like Clark's, Keen, Atrex, and many more. Hurry in for the best selection because this sale only goes to the end of the month. It's the summer clearance sale at Brown Shoe Fit, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
You're listening to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Final few moments of Tom and Bock. I'm Tom, he's Bock. This is about what you expected. I mean, this is kind of what you gauged during the postgame. You did the postgame with Happer yesterday. Have people calmed down since then?
Well, I think it just goes back to that topic that Tom Chattel wrote about is the people that are listening to our show should be fired up. They're sports fans. They're going to be listening every day. But even that, you still hear some people that say that the apathy has set in. But I think for a large degree of fans, we'll probably see it this weekend, and how it turns out with the sell-it streak likely ending is that there's just a lot of apathy, and probably, unless you're a diehard, probably should be. I mean, if you got other things going on in your life, weekends are kind of your time to relax. You want to have fun. You don't want to, roll around and listen to all your friends complain about how things are how they used to be.
That's true. We went to a football party, and afterwards, Heidi said, "That's the best I've seen you in years." Watching Husker football, especially when they played like that. And I'm wondering if I'm in the over category. I mean, because I still got angry.
Yeah.
Part of it was I was at a party, so I couldn't just throw chairs around.
The anger really piled up for me when they ran those plays at the goal line. When they started running the ball after abandoning the run the entire half.
Right.
And there was
now you're burning clock.
Yeah, when the clock was absolutely done. Like, it would have been better to spike the ball at that point in time and give up a down just to stop the clock in my mind. But, so I try. I'm pretty good at containing my anger, but at that point in time, I got a little frustrated.
All right, let's eat the final leftovers. We'll get that music changed ultimately. Did you see this? Javier Baez gave New York Mets fans the thumbs down. I think he had just hit. I didn't see the game, but they had just had a big play. They won the game 9-4 over the Nationals yesterday. But after that, he was giving the media as well kind of a thumbs down. He said, "Hey, they're not supporting us. Why should we support them?" But he was just he went 2 thumbs down, and he's taken a lot of criticism from the Mets. In fact, Sandy Alderman, their president, says these comments and any gestures by him and other players with similar intent is totally unacceptable and will not be tolerated. He's in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a good look, especially right with your new team. Maybe not feeling you learn a little bit. Like we all like Kansas City, but the fans don't turn on you like they do in New York.
No. Yeah.
So maybe learning a little bit about that and how to react to, or I should say Chicago, obviously it's from Chicago, I mean, which is a pretty big market itself.
Yeah.
But New York's just always a little bit different. They'll turn on you pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I don't know if that's gonna be a lasting marriage if he's already fighting with the media and the fans.
Yeah, he's hitting like 200. He's got 3 home runs in 16 games. It's not like he's awful, but they expected a lot from Javier Baez, and now they're like 7 games out and probably going to miss the playoffs. Nebraska native Scott Gucheski is back on the PGA Tour after finishing 18th. I think he finished 18th, but he did get on to the PGA Tour. It was enough points to graduate from the Korn Ferry Tour back to the PGA Tour, which he's been on before. He's an Omaha native. Are you happy for Scott Gucheski?
Of course, I'm excited for any former or Nebraska native to do well in their fight. Is it what's it called, the tour underneath the PGA?
The Korn Ferry Tour.
What is that?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's been the Nike Tour. It's been other things.
Oh, it's just got sold.
It's just it's Korn Ferry.
I didn't know Korn Ferry was a thing.
I don't know what Korn Ferry does, but that's what the tour is called.
Oh, well, good for him though. That's good news.
Yeah, it's really good news because he's been playing golf forever.
A lot more money on that tour, I believe.
Yeah, than the Korn Ferry.
Yeah.
Way more. And I think you'll get like maybe a couple $100,000 for winning a Korn Ferry event. Probably not even that much. You win millions on the tour, on the regular tour. But it's harder to win on that tour as well. Trevor Lawrence was 31 of 44 for 323, 2 TDs in the preseason. Those 2 TDs came over the weekend against the Cowboys, where he was 11 of 12 throwing, 70% passing for Lawrence in the preseason. Will he have regular season success in your mind?
I don't think so. I'm not sure. You know, sometimes college coaches can do pretty well right out of the gate, so maybe Urban Meyer can. But I think that offensive line is going to get him beat up before things turn around too well there. I think that he's going to have more of the Peyton Manning rookie year than maybe some of the other ones.
I think he's going to get destroyed, like we saw from Joe Burrow. Even though Joe Burrow played pretty well, but he was running for his life every single game. And now they've lost Travis Etienne, their running back.
Tim Tebow's not on the team.
That's right. How you gonna live without Tim Tebow? Speaking of Nebraska products, talked about Scott Gucheski. How about Easton Stick? He is going for the backup gig in L.A. with the Chargers. Of course, he's a prep grad. He played for North Dakota State, but he had one of the best preseason plays for the Chargers. He scrambled right, avoided a bunch of 49er defenders, and threw a touchdown pass to Josh Palmer. It's weird, though. His offensive coordinator is apparently not a big Easton Stick fan. He says he hasn't done any of that in the practices.
He called him out.
Yeah, he kind of said, he goes, "Where's that been? Yeah, you haven't been playing very well in practice." He's going for the second team spot against Chase Daniels. We all remember him from Missouri. They're battling for the backup gig. I doubt that he'll beat out Chase Daniels, but some guys are just gamers, right? They practice horribly, and then they play well in a game. You'd like that actually be the reverse for Nebraska, that they practice horribly and play well in the game.
Yeah, I think Nebraska needs some gamers, but yeah, that'll be interesting to see if he can play that. I don't know. He's a 5th round draft pick of 2019 of him, so they got something invested in him. But man, if you ever want to feel good for just Chase Daniels, I guess, go look at his career earnings. I think it's incredible to look compared to the amount of plays he had. He made millions and millions of dollars, maybe it was 5 or 6 straight years without ever playing a snap in the NFL.
And he's only 5'11".
Yeah.
He was a really good college quarterback. He played on some good Missouri teams. Well, I thought everybody handled today okay. It was therapy. People didn't get whacked out too much. I thought there would be some name calling at us and everybody else.
We didn't have to use the dump button today.
That's right. You had to use it in the postgame a couple
of times.
We did
twice, yeah. There's some frustration right afterwards.
Can you tell me the word on the air? You can't say it.
No.
All right. Well, that's good. We'll be back with another show tomorrow. Hopefully it gets better as we get closer.
We're going to Chick-fil-A. It's getting better for us.
Right. Oh, that's right. We're going to be live at Chick-fil-A 48-0 tomorrow. Hope you can join us for Tailgate Tuesday from 11 until 2. We are out. Talk to you later. Happy hour is next.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Mostly cloudy skies this morning should give way to a bit of afternoon sunshine. We'll top out near 83. Winds out of the south at 10 to 15. We will be tracking a chance of thunderstorms by this afternoon.